My name is Scott Reister. I'm the creator of North American Racing League, also a NARL Porsche Cup driver, broadcasted live by Pit Stop TV.
Hi, my name is John Sedlak, and I race for Firelight Esports in North American Racing League. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/diesel_dad.
Hello, I am Dino Filippa, sim racer from Argentina, current champion, and I will be competing in the championship for the ERS team and also providing the data for each race for the participant drivers.
Hey guys, I'm Marco Saavedra, and I'm a NARL Porsche Cup driver representing Infinite Racing Services. I'm a race winner and multiple podium finisher on the last NARL GT3 season, so I'll be working to get even better results this championship on a different car. See you all on track.
Hi guys, I am Ricardo Rico from Spain. I drive with Zenith Esports and I will be doing this Porsche Cup season in the North American Racing League. I hope you can catch with us on the Pit Stop TV broadcast and we will try to give you a good show. See ya!
Hi, my name is Lubov. I'm full-time streamer, content creator, ambassador for Master and Excel Racing. And also, I'm North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hey guys, my name's Ryan Kerr. Looking forward to racing in NARL, broadcast by Pit Stop TV again this season. This time in the pro category after last season's good result. Racing again with Mirandas. Looking forward to seeing everybody out on track.
Hi, my name is David Schwartz. I'm 36 years old. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm representing the Mirandas M Squad. In real life, I'm the 2018 D Street Las Vegas region autocross champion, also an SCCA time trial winner, and I've been sim racing for about 6 years.
Hi, I am Dalton Zavadil, driver for SimCity Racing and North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver. I am the 2021 Colorado Karting Tour iRacing Winter Series champion and the 2022 Season 1 Porsche Cup Pro-Am champion.
Olá, meu nome é Jackson Rezende, faço parte da Texaco Race by TK e sou piloto da North American Race League Porsche Cup.
Hey guys, Bruno Do Carmo here from Texaco Racing by TK, Pro World Championship license back in 2017, and now I'm a North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hello guys, my name is Gustavo Ariel and I'm Texaco Racing by Tony Canan driver, and I'll be driving on the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Championship. Let's go.
2 rounds into a brand new Porsche Cup season, and we are all tied up at the top of the amateur standings. Chris Sanchez and Milan Harris tied at 100 points apiece going in to round 3 at Barber in Alabama. Welcome to Pit Stop TV. My name is Andrew Cardinal IV, JP Costa alongside. Of course, we have more than just amateurs racing tonight. We do have the pros later on. We'll talk about them in a moment. But JP, first up, this 30-minute race at Barber, and these cars in general here at Barber, a very weird combination, one that's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be tough on these drivers, especially that pro race. As temperatures rise through the day and those tires wear out, it's going to be a challenge.
Oh, absolutely. Barber is not an easy track whatsoever. It doesn't matter which car you drive. It's just roller coaster of a racetrack, requires precision, just to the max level. You have turn 1, which you have to turn in blindly. Turns 2, 3 are just a swooping right-hander. You have to be essentially precise in it. Turn 4, bit flat out, and then turn 5, you downhill braking zone. You can easily lock up the tires. So it's just extremely tricky. And then you get to the second sector, I guess you can say, turn 6, 7, 8, 9. That downhill S's, I guess you can say. Then turns 10, 11, just absolutely a fast section. And then it turns 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, Andrew. Those tires are going to be screaming by the end of the lap. So I feel like those drivers today, they're going to have to be on point to make sure not only they finish the race, but they finish with the car intact.
Yeah, this is not going to be an easy one for these drivers. This is very much a high downforce racetrack. I think turns 1, 2, and 3 really show it right from the get-go. You need so much downforce to get around 2 and 3, especially even to make sure you don't go too deep in turn 1. It is a challenge as Milan Harris and John Kroom lead the practice session over Chris Sanchez, Bjorn Stange, and Ilya Speaker. That's how things go for our top 5 in amateur. Let's talk about standings coming into this evening. We'll start off, of course, with the amateur guys as they get on track for qualifying. Here's a look at them. I mentioned Chris Sanchez and Milan Harris tied on top of the standings, JP. That's rare that we have that, especially 2 races in. But then a 10-point gap back to third for John Kroom and Joe Nagy, 13 back to Billy Bowerman, and it just keeps stacking up from there. Although you do have some great battles, I'd say, from 11th through, really 10th through 20th. Very, very close, especially 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, all only 2 points apart.
Yeah, this championship is crazy so far, Andrew. As you mentioned, it tied up for points. I don't think we've ever seen that, as I recall. Obviously, only before round number 1, everybody's tied up. But after that one, Chris dominated round number 1. Milan just dominated round number 2. Now, who's going to come out on top? Literally, the driver that finishes ahead, obviously excluding the bonus points, should take the championship lead. And as you mentioned, we have plenty of other drivers tied up for points. John Kroom, Joe Nagy, Samuel Bernardi, Kleber Tavares, Keith Wilfred, Avon Dorsey, and then, as you mentioned, Wendell Lira, Volker Krabs, and Brian Long. So this is an amazing championship, and I feel like things could change quite a bit after tonight's round.
Absolutely. This season's standing is brought to you by Victorum, a championship scoring application that directly integrates with iRacing's data API and is used by NARL from this season on. Create multiple championships, seasons, events, results, and leaderboards quickly and painlessly. And with that in mind, let's check out the pro standings coming into this evening. Gustavo Ariel up top by 4 over Dalton Zavadil, who of course won at Detroit to open the season. Ricardo Rico, third now, only 6 points back, and then that gap opens up to Scott Reister, Marco Saavedra, and this I think shows the consistency through, I know just 2 races, but still through 2 races for Scott Reister so far this season. Only 15 back and in the 4th spot ahead of heavy hitters like Marco Saavedra, Fabio Zamperlini, Dino Filippa, Jaxi Rosende, a lot of big names still behind a lot of these drivers that I think are taking advantage of some early season woes and are going to be a lot more even with those pro guys as a result of it. And of course, if you look over at the Pro-Ams, how about Luan Hott? Now almost tied up with Thomas Rayleigh for the Pro-Am lead. Aubrey Kundal in the conversation, Hartzell doing fantastic, and then some guys that I think could really use a big run like Miguel Colon, who did fantastic last week at Imola. Maybe he goes up there and grabs some points and moves up the order, who knows. But again, you have a lot of drivers very, very close in points on the Pro-Am side as well. I mean, Hartzell at 9 back, then Bertram at 10 back, Sedlak at 11 back, Turcotte and Cologne only 12 back. A lot of really close points battles in this championship on every side of the coin. But let's get down. We've got qualifying on track. Don't want to miss any more of that as cars are getting around Barber Motorsports Park for the first time this evening. Brian Robinson, one of our first cars on track, I should say, in car 123. Samuel Barnardi getting on track momentarily. There's John Kroom from Rockefeller Racing. How about Don Gottlieb here in car 73 from Florida? And Milan Harris, no surprise. This guy's quick to the top of the board.
Yeah, straight up to the top, half a second clear of John Kroom in second place. So you can see right there, he's setting the pace already. A few extra drivers, looks like 8 drivers so far have set a lap time. And you can see right here, they're pretty much all in the same sector, Andrew. You pretty much don't have to change camera angles to get them. You can see right here, Bjorn Stange, the 113 of Nick Polliard. Looks like they're just making their way through the first sector, turns 2 and 3. And you can just see, Andrew, even with these cameras, you can see how much elevation change there is on this track.
Yeah, we'll talk about elevation change again in a moment once we get a better picture. But here's Dean Kerr headed down to turn number 1. Charles Jose in car 100 now for Rockefeller Racing beginning his lap. Gary Weaver on track in car 75, and that is not how you do it there, and he has stuffed it in the barrier. It is outlap in qualifying. Here's a look at Joey Raymer in car 76. Rodrigo Arantes in car 14. Getting along not so great in turn number 5, that hairpin in the middle of the track map. Chris Sanchez, though, points leader, tied for the points lead, won at Detroit. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, looks like he's just making his way through the final sector. Only 3 or 4 corners to go. Yeah, you can see right here, this is just essentially one long right-hander. You pretty much never let off the steering wheel, just managing the throttle and the brake. Milan Harris goes even quicker, looks like just over a 10th of a second quicker than his last lap. Chris Sanchez is going to cross the finish line with a 125.2, and yeah, he's 6/10 off. Andrew, looks like that's good enough for second place, but still 6/10 off. That's not where he wants to be.
Definitely not, but he is close. I think he's just not close enough, right? As he rides now in the second spot in qualifying, a little ways ahead of Cleber Tavares and John Kroom. Joshua Lyon, top 5 so far in qualifying. Here's the onboard with him in car 24. That's out of turn 3, now up the hill for turn 4, and this camera is really going to accentuate the elevation change this evening. Down into turn 5, a really tricky braking zone. One of the toughest we'll see on this entire season, I'd say. Very, very tough spot to try and race and to try and make passes. We're going to see some mistakes made, I think, in turn 5 for sure. Then I think my favorite portion of racetrack, possibly on the schedule again, right down here, turns 7, 8, 9. So satisfying if you get it right. Joshua Lyon, pretty darn close. He gets the power down out of turn 9 and heads up to the quick chicane left-right. That is turns 10 and 11.
And you can see right here just how much commitment and precision you have, because it's just so easy to run off wide. Then you quickly switch over to the right-hand side as you head towards turns 12 and 13. A bit wide on 12, but catching it into 13. And you can see right there, the car goes a bit light. The front end goes a bit lighter as you head into this long right-hander. And like I mentioned, Andrew, you never let off essentially the steering wheel, always turning. Those tires are going to be screaming. And then a quick change of directions as you head into the final corner, and then the straight line as you can kind of take a breath. But then you have to do it all over again as you approach turn number 1.
Joshua Lyon, that lap picks up over Joe Nagy, goes up to 6th position. Here's a look at Keith Wilfred, an original paint scheme there for car 48. Brian Long in car 12 is 14th. William Love in 15th spot. How about Clarence Rosa now qualifying 17th so far? Andrew Korstecki jumping up into the 18th position as Dean Kerr beats him out, goes to 18th. And, well, here we go. Phil Bedurka, Charles Jose. A slew of times coming in all at once. And a lot of these drivers now getting their runs completed as Chris Sanchez has one more shot at pole. He is on lap number 3. This is the back section of the course here, JP. He's got one more chance if he can just keep it between the white lines and somehow pick up 6/10 and a quarter. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is. This section, we just saw it a few moments ago. This section requires precision from the driver.
That's off track.
He goes wide, and that's just a section. You know, you just go over the crest. The car goes a little bit light. It's so easy to run off wide, and unfortunately, that lap is done and dusted for him. So the best place he might start, Andrew, is second place, unless anyone else improves over his lap time, but still 0.4 of a second clear of Sanchez in third place.
I think this guy actually I always weigh down the order right now. Could have been 2 safe laps, but Rodrigo Orantes has been quick the first couple of rounds. He's a possible long shot threat here to go up and, well, never mind. I was going to say to go up and bump Chris Sanchez off the front row. That's not going to be the case now. Went off track there through turn 13. Here's a look at Gary Weaver on track. Lap 3 of 3. He has not gone off track yet, at least we think. And it doesn't have a time yet. That was close up over the curbing, and that must have done it because he is slowing down. A big shout out as well to Samuel Bernardi in car 212. The Accenture Porsche headed down to turn, that's 10 and 11, so 12 is coming up next.
In the final section, arguably, one of the trickiest parts of the circuit, but everything is tricky around this circuit, Andrew. And you can see right here, navigating, it looks like a little bit cautious, and you can see right there, just trying to take the best race line towards the final few corners, taking a tighter line as he winds up, yeah, just laid apex essentially on turns number 14 and 15, and then turn 16 kind of nails it, just uses the exit curb. The number 212 is going to cross the finish line. Looks like he might improve on his lap, and he does by 3/10 of a second.
Jumps from 14th to 11th, and that's a big jump, honestly, on this grid. 30 some odd cars, 35 it looks like in attendance this evening to jump 4 spots. That is a big time gain for Samuel Bernardi in car 212. As you take a look at the pits, it has very much calmed down. There are no cars on track aside from Chris Sanchez, and Chris is already into overtime for his qualifying run. So, JP, let's talk schedule stuff. Here we go. I'll look at the season number 3 schedule for North American Racing League Porsche Cup action. Detroit and Italy started us off the last couple of weeks. Now, Barber this evening. Next up, it'll be Norway. Skogan Motor Center is going to be a lot of fun, but a big unknown for sure on May 25th.
Oh, absolutely, Andrew. I'm just very excited for that racetrack. It's going to be a first for me. It's going to be a first for us here on the broadcast booth, and arguably, I think the first for every single driver on the Porsche Cup. So it should be very interesting. Then obviously Monza, running that different layout. It's going to be interesting. Brazil, Germany, Sebring, and then obviously the bonus race at Long Beach. Is a fantastic schedule, and we're closing in on the halfway point next week. It's crazy how time flies.
We do have next week off, thankfully. So we have an extra week to get ready for Skogan. That's going to be a trip and a half, I feel like. And I really am excited for Skogan. It's a free track on iRacing, newly introduced. And very much, I think, one that flew under the radar until it was added, much like the newly announced Motorland Aragon from Spain that is being added soon. iRacing teased that this week. Just some tracks that I think are fantastic worldwide and are flying under the radar and suddenly being announced and added to iRacing.com. But let's meet our grid, our starting grid this evening, as Milan Harris will lead us to the green. No surprise there. And we didn't even catch it. John Kroom did bump Chris Sanchez down to third somehow late in that session, but let's take a look at our full grid, or at least some of it. Milan Harris on pole, John Kroom second. Starting third, it's Chris Sanchez. Kleber Tavares grids up fourth. Starting fifth, Ilya Speaker. Joshua Lyon starts from sixth. Starting seventh, it'll be Joe Nagy. Eighth will be Bjorn Stange. To round out your top 10, Charles Jose and Adam Ballard.
Starting off in 11th place, we're going to have Samuel Bernardi in the number 212 and the number 11 of Wendell Lear starting off alongside him. In 13th place, we're going to have Kerry Corcoran with Philip Pederka in 14th place alongside him. 15th place, we're going to have Keith Wolfred, the number 48, alongside him Brian Long, the number 12. 17th place on the inside, we're going to have William Love in the number 67 and the number 53 of Volker Krebs. 19th place, we're going to have Dean Kern, the number 84, and the number 46 of Andrew Korostecki in 20th place.
Starting 21st, how about Clarence Rosa? Don Gottlieb starts from 22nd. Starting 23rd, Jay Davis and car 08. Rodrigo Orantes will start from 24th. 25th, it's Jay Robinson. 26th, Brian Robinson. How about the Robinson row there for row 13? Sean Patterson starts from 27th. Nick Pollard from 28th. And to complete your top 30, Robert Guadagnoli and Joey Raymer. 5 more cars in the grid. Matthew Shervick, Gary Weaver. Then 33rd, Jeffrey McDonald, John Kelly. And finally, way back there, we got through a full grid. It's Chip Witt at the back end of the grid. You see, lights are out. We are off and away from Barber Motorsport Park. Crashing. That is the wrong start for sure. Oh my goodness. A big crash before we even got to turn 1. A lot of cars involved. And more, I see Korostecki sideways. Our leader is already up to turn 4. We're going to stay with these guys live up front and then go back and cover what just happened. A big crash back there.
Yeah, we saw some cars going, spinning up the wheels and unfortunately losing traction and coming back on essentially the other cars that were starting. As we head down into turn number 5, we can see a few moves being made, Andrew. As you mentioned, a very difficult braking zone as you go downhill, but you can see everybody looks like navigated safely as now we head into the downhill S's. This is also a really tricky part. You essentially have to go single file, but looks like everybody's respecting their times and everybody's respecting their space as we go single file through the S's.
Chris Sanchez back to 6th already here on lap number 1, and well, I say that, and he makes a pass on Joshua Lyon for the 5th position. So move Sanchez up 1 spot, now into 5th, as we got some side-by-side racing sorting itself out in the background as we head down to turn 12 and 13 for the first time today. This towards the back end of your top 10, but your leaders, Milan Harris, John Groom, already into the final couple of corners, and just one more braking zone to go. They're back up onto the front stretch, 1 lap complete here at Barber.
Oh, they're pretty much checking out, aren't they, Andrew? You can see right there, 2.9 seconds between Milan Harris, John Groom, and then Tavares right behind them. So really, really good pace from the top 2 so far. As you can see right here, the rest of the field kind of tightens it up until the top 10, and then you can see a bit of a spreading as we head into the bottom end of the field. A few drivers, looks like 1, 2, heading straight into the pit lane.
Yeah, a few drivers are already headed to the pits. There's Gary Weaver, and you just see we don't have the full field coming back to us after lap 1, so let's go back and see what happened here on our first lap of action. Big-time problems, that is for sure, as this is already as they were headed down to turns 7, 8, and 9. We'll go back a little bit further and see what happened here on the start of this one. So Milan Harris, this is going to come somewhere, I want to say around the... What was the first wrong stuff car in the field? Let's see if we can pick him out of the field real quick then. Gonna have to be a little further back than this. I think it was the 12. Oh, and you see 2 of them right on top of each other, Brian Long and the 67 of William Love. Let's watch them as they head to the flag stand here. Somebody false started back there. A couple of false starts. Charles Jose, I noticed. And let's watch this. Corcoran, a great start. Oh, wow, the 10 came over and caught Brian Long, and that's what started this off.
And you can see right there, essentially it was a roadblock. Drivers were coming in with nowhere to go, no time to brake, no time to stop the car, and unfortunately, the incident just kept on piling. We're going to take a better look through the second replay as John Groom now sets the fast lap of the race. And you can see right there, Andrew, as you mentioned, a few false starts.
It was the 70 of Bedurka. Comes over, spun his tires, and hooked Brian Long around. That's who it was.
And then you can see the rest of the drivers just absolutely nowhere to go. And I feel like we had a few toes over there. And obviously, you know, the rest of the drivers that we saw darting into the pit lane must have been from damage or drive-thrus from the false start.
There was a lot there, certainly, on lap number 1 from the drop of the green flag. We've got more spinning in the back. Rodrigo Arantes was just around. Kerry Corcoran slow. Samuel Bernardi a moment here as Clarence Rosa goes off track. Joshua Lyons just had a big moment. He was racing with Chris Sanchez for the top 5 and is now back in 10th, making 11th as Samuel Bernardi tries to make a passer on the outside and will complete that into turn number 7. Drama all around. Jay Davis spun around into turn 5 for Rockefeller Racing. It does not stop, as Arantes is going to drop way down the order. Oh my goodness. It's going to be one of those kinds of days.
Absolutely. Turn 5, you can see right there how much is a trouble spot, not only for Roman Grosjean on IndyCar, but you can see as well for these guys down here in the Porsche Cup as well. It's just such a difficult braking zone as we have. Looks like a bit of action right here. Joshua Lyon, I'm pretty sure he holds the fastest lap so far, but unfortunately an instant drop him back, and you can see him trying to go around the outside. It's going to be the long way around. That's not going to work. He's going to have to essentially, you know, hold back, and right now he could be under threat, Andrew, from attacking. He has to defend, but looks like he has a big enough gap to essentially hold his own line. But Joshua now is going to have to start attacking to make sure he gets, well, essentially where he was before his mistake.
Yeah, Lyons 6 or so positions back from where he was when he had the moment a lap ago. Now racing to try and catch back up to Samuel Bernardi and stay ahead of Keith Wilfred. So this is 10th, 11th, and 12th on the racetrack. It's tough when we have those big moments at the start to then get an idea of where we are in the field, but these guys are about 15 seconds behind the race leader. of Milan Harris. This now the battle for 8th and 9th on the track as we take a look at Adam Ballard and Kleber Tavares in the 29 and 92. A little further forward, Chris Sanchez is in the neighborhood of Joe Nagy, but again, these guys all got very spread out. It's already a 1.5 second gap between Milan Harris and John Kroom, and then 6.5 seconds or so back to Bjorn Stange in third, Joe Nagy in fourth, another second back, another half second then to Chris Sanchez as Joey Raymer has a problem. I'm not sure where that's out of turn 5. It's out of the hairpin.
Yeah, I think it is, and you can see right there he's trying to get a car going. Looks like finally the car is under momentum, but he's extremely slow as Milan Harris sets another fast lap of the race. So Joey with big troubles, looks like.
I'm not sure what was going on there, but a very slow get back to rolling for Joey Raymer. Here comes a couple of cars. Wendell Lira and Andrew Korostecki, it looks like, as they will fire down to turns 7, 8, and 9 rather rapidly. Raymer ended up going off track and giving up spots to all of those guys. Both of them, anyways, Lira and Korostecki. So move Raymer now back to the 27th position as Robinson and Patterson fight. This is down at a turn. Wow, this is right with Charles Jose. This is Ilya Speaker and Charles Jose, I think, passing him. Man, it just does not slow down as Sanchez has an opportunity here on Joe Nagy for turn 7.
Not going to work on turns 7, 8, and 9, but he's definitely applying that pressure, Andrew. A mistake could happen really, really easy around here. As you can see, the number 77 just locking up the inside front. Not going to affect him too much, but Andrew, I can see a little bit of visual damage on Sanchez's car on the left-hand side, so that could be the reason why he dropped a few positions at the start.
Yeah, you can see some bumps and scrapes even here on the left door from the onboard. They're all over the car. Flip over to the other side of the car, the right side, and you can even see some scrapes back there in front of that inlet on the right rear portion of the machine. A lot of damage here on Chris Sanchez's car. That is not what you want to see, but he has an opportunity. This is for 4th position on board from the driver's eye perspective, and oh wow, Nagy really bled out. That was a big-time Pruitt fade.
Trying to get Nagy essentially to compromise his exit. It didn't really work out. You can see right there, Sanchez essentially opening mid-corner to try and get a better exit. Looks like it didn't work. He could try a dive down into 5. We've seen the move happen in real life. You can see he thinks about it. Nagy goes a bit defensive. That could have hurt him on exit, but looks like he gets all that squared up. But I feel like Joe Nagy is really feeling up the pressure, Andrew. We could see a big mistake from him anytime soon.
Yeah, I'd say Nagy's definitely feeling the pressure. I mean, if you got to dig up the Pruitt fade 2 heavy braking zones in a row, you're feeling the pressure. That's just, I don't know. I really don't like moving in the braking zone. As a driver, as a broadcaster, a spectator, I really don't enjoy it. And doing it even more slowly, I don't think helps anything. The fade over in the braking zone just to defend, you can miss me with that, Chief, but if it works out, it works out. And to be fair, Joe Nagy is still ahead of Chris Sanchez, and he might not be if he hadn't have done that in turn 1 and again in turn 5. So it's working for now. We'll see if it continues to work, because there's contact. And definitely Chris did not mean to do that. You saw how quickly he jumped out of the gas and gave that time right back up. Certainly car 3 is quicker, but he's injured and behind him. And that's the problem here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the paces there as the number looks like 11, and the 171 made contact down into turn number 5. And you can see right there the 171 Angel looks like he's going to tow back to the pit lane. So it looks like that was quite a bit of damage, as Wendell Lira, unfortunately, looks like was the other victim of that incident. But looks like he's able to continue. But yeah, coming back to Sanchez, you can clearly see he's faster, but that little bit of damage could be hurting him. And obviously, just the fact that you're stuck behind a car that you see you have the pace over could be frustrating as well, and he could be himself forcing a mistake if he continues to push this hard.
Oh, Sanchez way deep into turn 9. Wow, we'll get a look back at that as here comes Charles Jose to go on by. Chris Sanchez, we have found his kryptonite here at Barber Motorsports Park. Fantastic in the opening couple of rounds, won at Detroit. That snuck up on me. I was looking over at another monitor, checking timing and scoring, and here he comes flying in there. Here's a look back at it on board with car number 3, just fast up over the curbs into the braking zone. Wow, I thought he was cleaning out Joe Nagy for a second. That was a good catch.
Oh, that was pretty much perfect timing. I just mentioned he might make a mistake on his own, and well, 2 corners later, there he was. Luckily for him, as you mentioned, didn't take out Joe Nagy, and he's gonna save it. There you go, the number 24.
Oh no!
Oh no! Joshua Lyon, he had a brilliant qualifying, brilliant early race pace, but looks like he's struggling quite
Gotta
a
be
bit
careful.
now. And yeah, the number 24 not having the best of race days, Andrew.
No, not at all. Now down to 15th position. He just lost tons of time, 12, 13 seconds in that lap alone, as Kerry Corcoran will now have an opportunity at the wounded, battered, and bruised number 24 car of Joshua Lyon. Already, 24th on back is lapped. We had a lot of issues early in this race. You mentioned we could see one of these kinds of races early. I was like, no, surely these guys have got it down. Definitely a lot of bumps in the road for these drivers early in this race. I'm not really sure what it is, though. In fact, we haven't even talked yet about weather. The 100 degree track temp may be a part of it, frankly. It's a hot one for these guys. Maybe not hot, but warm.
Yeah, I guess you can say that, but obviously, you know, with how much stress the front tires are, you know, under load essentially during the lap, that could overheat them and could explain some of the struggles we've seen. But obviously, it's just such a difficult track on its own, isn't it? It's so easy to make a small mistake and just go a little bit wide, and once you're wide, I mean, it's really difficult to essentially get back in within the rhythm, and if you don't spin out or just, you know, go into the grass. So it's a combination of factors that just really make this racetrack just really difficult. And, well, if you practice, if you get yourself nailed down, well, you can have a performance like Belon Harris and John Kroom. Otherwise, you know, you could be struggling like almost the rest of the field, I guess you can say, are today.
Just looking over some chat from YouTube, and you can tell Brian Long not happy with the way the start of this race has gone for him, considering he is 8 laps down, parked in the pit lane, and not getting back on track anytime soon. Definitely disappointed with the way the start went. That's how it goes sometimes, unfortunately, especially on these standing start races. I feel like if it was a rolling start, that wouldn't have happened. Certainly not 10 foot from the start-finish line anyways. Always a tough one when that happens off the start of a race. This is a look at your race leader, though, Milan Harris, through turns 15 and now 16. And quite frankly, man, these guys have definitely found the attrition they'd been missing in the first couple of rounds. We had a lot of finishers the last 2 weeks. They found it, JP. A lot of trouble for a lot of drivers. I'm looking at 23rd through 33rd, 11 cars, 1 lap down. The next one to go a lap down would be Gary Weaver. He's only got 20 or so seconds, 25 seconds back to Milan Harris before he goes a lap down as he's racing with Robert Guadagnoli. And, you know, not too bad for a broadcaster. I certainly wouldn't be doing that good, but this field is relatively decimated, honestly. This is a somewhat large course to have only 22 cars on the lead lap, 27 or so still racing. There's Milan Harris into turn 7. Gary Weaver was just through turn 11, so he's closing in.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I guess confidence of the driver as well, you know, Andrew, really makes a difference around here. As soon as you make a mistake, you really have to bounce back. Otherwise, you're just going to be cautious throughout the rest of your race, or at least for the next few laps. So that's really going to cost your pace quite a bit. And obviously, we do have trains like this, which kind of make it fun to kind of, you know, let the whole pack essentially be really close. As you can see, 2 left cars that's usually parking it, and they're going to kind of back it off. Oh, there you go. But yeah, it kind of makes the race interesting on its own, doesn't it?
Well, I'll turn this into a learning moment. I don't know what Joey Raymer's doing here. I understand you want to be nice, you want to get out of the way, but you're getting so much more in the way by slowing down and still taking the racing line. And then being offline in some corners, online in others. This is not how you be respectful. Unfortunately, this is good intentions, but he's in the way of Cleber Tavares, who is in 8th, chasing the car that he just let by, but also held up Charles Jose, which is his teammate. This is just, I think, a moment where Joey might want to watch a couple of laps, maybe go back to the pit lane for a second, breathe, and then get back in the car and see if he can put what he watches from his teammates to use. And it just seems like he's not confident. You're right. Usually, a driver that is moving over and slowing down this much is simply not confident. They've had something happen, whatever, to maybe spook them a little bit. They want to stay out of the way. They have good intentions, JP, but that's not the way to do it. You can't stop virtually into turn 10, one of the fastest corners on this racetrack, a left-right flick, to try and let people by, and then you can't stop again in that high downforce zone, if you will, turns 13, 14, 15. You've got to keep pace.
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to let the faster drivers go is essentially to lift, not hit the brake, just lift slightly. They're going to pass you because they're going to be on the gas, and you're not going to be losing that much speed compared to, the guys behind you. So you can safely navigate these fast corners, the fast S's, and, every single other corner as well. So, it's just a matter, of being efficient, I guess you can say. But, it's something that he's going to get nailed down throughout the season, I'm pretty sure.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully he doesn't have to. Hopefully he's in a position where he can battle and obviously not be a lap down. But obviously with instance, start instance, mistakes, all that sort of stuff can happen. So as you mentioned, a learning process. And I'm pretty sure the next time will be much, much better.
It's tough as well as a new driver if you haven't encountered that kind of situation before, where you're that much behind and just trying to let people by. To know not to just drop anchor like that, because again, you want to be a good person, you want to stay out of the way, you want to help these guys go past you, but slowing down like that, especially into corners, mashing the brakes, not the way to do it. You want to try and minimize the difference in pace, because if you slow down, you become a hazard. But anyhow, these guys are racing 11th and 12th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Philip Bedurka, that car that had the moment off the grid and got into Brian Long. That is the 70 that is leading this train, and we are now going to go on board with. Samuel Bernardi is the next car back in car 212. Adam Ballard, then, the next one behind him from Rockefeller Racing in car 29. These guys, nice little pocket of exciting racing for the final top 10 position, and we are already through half of this race, JP. You know what that means?
What does that mean? Driver of the day? That
means driver of the day, as these guys pull up to Keith Wilfred as well in car 48, make it a 4-car battle. This is a tough one. I think the vote will be easy, but for us to come up with 4 nominees, it's going to be tough, because Milan Harris, I think, deserves all 4 nominations right now. He has been stellar. I don't mean this in a bad way to the rest of the field, but the only driver that I can think of to nominate right now, he's gone by 7.5 seconds over John Kroom. He has got something that nobody else has, and I think it's Pro-Am pace.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, it's not even really a vote at this point, so I guess we could vote for the second best driver of the day. I guess if that works.
There's a cash prize that goes with driver of the day, so we couldn't do that, but we'll stick with driver of the day. We're going to have to nominate Milan Harris, so do you want to go first? Do you want to take the easy gimme Milan Harris real quick?
I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm gonna let you have Milan Harris, because I'm gonna nominate first things first. Bjorn Stange.
Okay.
He took 3rd place. I mean, 14 seconds behind the leader, fair, but I mean, he held this position, and you can see he's under pressure from Joe Nagy behind. So he's keeping his cool. He's keeping it consistent. And so far, he's keeping it on the tarmac, which is all that matters. If he can get a podium, I feel like that's going to be a good result for him. Other driver, Andrew, I mean, I guess I could go for John Kroom as well, 2nd place. Took 2nd place late in qualifying. Was with his teammate for a good part of the early stages of the race, 1.52 seconds. Now has dropped back, but still opened up a 7-second gap to Bjorn Stange. So his pace is, it's really good as well. So I'm going to go for those two, 2nd and 3rd place. Another easy choice, I guess you can say.
One that has been brought to my attention is Keith Wilfred, who started 15th and is up to 9th spot. I think that's worth mentioning. I'm going to go through a few drivers here and try to find. Unfortunately, returned to me in timing and scoring is not position differential, so I'm actually going to look through quickly. This is the only way that I can do it, and see who's made up a lot of spots. If there are already, that I'd say are really worth it. That's not a bad, but worth driver of the day nomination. Keith Wilfred's a good one. Shout out to Dank Diggler. That's a YouTube username for sure. Shout out there for letting me know that he was up that many positions. I think Samuel Bernardi is a good one. Adam Ballard, a few. That Brian Robinson, that's perfect. 13 spots There we go. So Brian Robinson, Keith Wilford, those are my two. So Emerson, social media man, get that up on YouTube. This is a weird race. None of this race has gone, I think, to plan for anybody in this field. It's an odd one, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is going to be, I guess you can say, the oddest race, the most odd race I guess we're going to have on the schedule. Is definitely going to be essentially the Joker race for many of these guys, right, Andrew? It's going to be the one race that they just want to forget. And look, previously on Detroit,
somebody
and,
spun.
Bell. Yeah, someone had a big puff of smoke over there. I'm not quite sure who that was, but
I think it was Philip Bedurka. He's suddenly down to 11th while we were watching those static shots, and, well, Bernardi got through, and now one car is pulling over, and that seems to be Joey Raymer. Now you're crashing somewhere. Andrew, oh, wow, on the front stretch. Right behind the camera, Andrew Korostecki and Jay Robinson. Well.
No, that's certainly interesting happening on the front stretch. Well, we're going to take a look at exactly what happened. You can see right here, number 46 loses the car, doesn't overcorrect it, and gets hit, essentially.
And
gets
my
hit
goodness.
Again.
What are we doing? That is bizarre. We don't see this very often. And I don't want to go straight to assuming JP, but I don't see anything else that it possibly could have been. There had to be something. We'll watch the driver's eye camera in a moment to really see and try and determine intent here. But I'll be honest, Jay Robinson, it looks like he turned straight into the 46 car twice. So we'll watch on board in a moment and really get an idea. I'm wondering if there was something else that plays into this, because this looks bad. All right, but it is sim racing. A lot of things can happen. He bleeds over into him there. Comes over. Well, okay. Maybe my NASCAR broadcasting skills are a little too much at play right now, because it looked intentional. That camera angle, not so much, but that was Jay Robinson and Andrew Korostecki on the front stretch. It's still very odd to see. I'm glad that it looks far less intentional from the view of the driver, because it looked pretty bad at first.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna share the same thought with you, but yeah, it looks like he just misjudged. I guess pretty much everything over there. Unfortunately, both of the races looks like came to an end. But yeah, just really unfortunate as well. Less than 10 minutes to go, Andrew. Good few points thrown out of the window.
Gary Weaver just made a pass for 21st, and Robert Guadagnoli. They are the last cars on the lead lap, and only about 5 seconds ahead of Milan Harris Jurgen Theodore, who, by the way, is dead last in the Driver of the Day vote. And you have 4 options over on YouTube, guys. If you're watching over on Twitch, Facebook, Kick, Twitter, wherever, you've got to go to YouTube to participate in the vote. And here we go. Tied now. Milan Harris, Bjorn Stange, John Kroom, and Brian Robinson. I thought I had nominated Keith Wilford, but we'll let it stand. Maybe just a small mistake there. That'll still work. Anyways, your top 3, and then Brian Robinson in 13th, still a huge position differential. And now Milan Harris is starting to take the lead in the votes. If you're watching on YouTube, you've got to get your votes in quick, as this is a look at Milan Harris, currently on track, passing Robert Guadagnoli there, just like that. Caught right up to car 64. Next up on his list, next up on the menu, if you will, is Gary Weaver, and he pulls right up on the 75, and Gary rightly lets him have the corner. So your vote, again, Milan Harris, Bjorn Stange, John Kroom, and Brian Robinson. That is your top 3, and then Robinson in the 13th. Call it now. 12th spot is Philip Bedurka's off track.
He was having a good race. We're almost going to nominate him, Andrew, and things just took a turn for the worse for him. He was in the top 10, I think, 5 minutes ago.
He was also that driver that spun tires on lap 1 on the start. Really, lap 0, we'll call it, and got into Brian Long and initiated that crash on the front stretch. Durka just loose out of turn 5. I can't tell you how many times I did that in practice, trying to get myself around this place. I went to a U.S. open wheel car because I simply couldn't do it in a Porsche Cup car. I'll be honest, I copped out a little bit. But here's a look at Joshua Lyon on Brian Robinson. Robinson up a lot of spots, but this might be one less.
Joshua, he had good pace. Unfortunately, a string of mistakes essentially put him way back from arguably where he deserved to finish. And you can see right here a very good exit. Unfortunately, he had to check up a little bit. He still has the opportunity to dive down into turn number 1, which is not a move we see so often. Looks like he was going to back off and kind of mid braking zone decided to go for it, but then decided to back off once again. You can see taking a wider line to cut back in on exit. He's going to have a really good exit as one car is spun off, and he has a massive braking zone on his straightaway. So Joshua Lyon finding it really difficult to pass Robinson right here, Andrew.
Adam Ballard in trouble behind these guys, by the way. And I will apologize to Emerson Arden. He's on top of his game. I've got a million things going on, and that's why my girlfriend just brought me an energy drink, because I was stuck with the nomination of Milan Harris, which I say stuck with because it makes it a little less fun, considering he's 6 seconds clear of everybody as we have this fight down to turn 9. This, for the 11th spot, Josh Lyon and Brian Robinson. Contact there, up out of the corner. But Milan Harris, of course, had to be nominated. So, Emerson, thank you for reminding me, as it has just been one of those days, not only on the racetrack, but apparently in the broadcast booth as well, as Robinson takes a look to the inside of turn 12. And, of course, that was never going to work. That is one corner here at Barber that I would say you should never, ever make a pass attempt at, as he just kind of showed the nose to scare him a little bit. Charles Jose, Clever Tavares through turns 2 and 3 and up to turn 4. This is a good fight.
Yeah, this is for 7th place. And with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go, this is definitely a battle that is not over whatsoever. You can see Tavares almost going the long way around the outside, but you can see just how easy it was for Jose to lock up the inside front. And, managing to keep the position just barely, but looks like for the time being, I feel like Tavares has the upper hand on pace, Andrew.
It looks that way, but he's made some mistakes. At least it appears, considering he is 8th position. And that car right behind him, by the way, is Wendell Lira, 1 lap down in the 22nd spot. Not, in fact, Keith Wilfred, who is 8 seconds behind these two. A little further forward, how about another battle on track? Joe Nagy, Ilya Speaker, Chris Sanchez. Sanchez, of course, had that mistake earlier and is trying to run these cats back down.
But you saw right there just as he exited the final corner, still going a little bit wide and still going into the grass. So you can see, Andrew, he's really struggling around on this racetrack. Really not the performance that we saw from the number 3, especially on rounds number 1 and 2. So really an off race for Chris Sanchez. Unfortunately, he's going to lose the championship lead, but as long as he can finish in the top 10, I feel like it's a salvageable result, and he should be at least content with it. Not extremely happy, but I mean, it's not a DNF at least.
Well, he's going to be he's still going to be ahead of John Kroom, but Kroom's going to be a lot closer to him after this race in the standings. Milan Harris certainly going to take the points lead after tonight, and is not going to look back, I think. I don't know how you could bet against this man right now to win the championship. He has been simply fantastic. Driver out of the Mid-South. He's going to come around and take the white flag this time by. This amateur race has been a breeze. Has just gone right on by. And I think all because car 69 is just so far out front. The gap right now to second, sure, it's only 6.5 seconds. That's still a lot here at Barber, and it's even more. It's double that and then some. Back to Bjorn Staines, who's currently leading the driver of the day vote as we take the white flag, presented by Whiplash Simcams. I'm shocked not that as few of you are voting for Milan Harris as have voted for Milan Harris so far. I really think he has to be the lock for driver of the day. I am shocked that it's going to Bjorn Staines right now. Not at all to discount Bjorn Staines' run. He is third, doing fantastic, but Milan is just gone.
Yeah, absolutely. 6.5 seconds. I feel like he's been taking it easy the past few laps with the lapped cars. You can see the gap to Bjorn Staines came down from 14 to 13 seconds. So, he's just kind of that zone. I feel like he's just taking it a little bit easy, making sure he finishes the race. But still, 14 seconds clear of P3 and 7 seconds clear of P2. That's a memorable result. An extremely good pace for him. So, yeah, I mean, he should be the driver of the day, but hey, if the votes go to Bjorn Stange, I'm pretty sure he'll take it as well.
Absolutely, that's an extra $20 in the pocket for Bjorn Stange if he holds on. He's currently got 56% of the vote to Milan Harris's 22%. As we take a look through some of the fields and the battles on this final lap, Joe Nagy, Ilya Speaker, Chris Sanchez down to turn 12, right behind Bjorn Stange. Wow, we've got 4 cars right in a row. This could be for the podium as Milan Harris comes across and does take the win. John Kroom second. Bjorn Stange leading a line of cars as Robert Guadagnoli goes off track. And right up to the final corner, it will stay third place, Bjorn Stange. Fourth, Joe Nagy. Fifth, Ilya Speaker. And sixth, Chris Sanchez. But boy, did it get close for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. If we only had one more lap, Andrew, it would certainly get closer. But unfortunately, the fun, I guess, was cut a little bit short as looks like Tavares now crosses the finish line. Looks like not just yet. Still another 17 seconds away from Sanchez. So you can see how really this race was separated in groups as Tavares crosses the line in 7th. Jose crossed the line in 8th. Wilfred is going to cross the line in 9th. And Bernardi is going to cross the line in 10th to round up our top 10. But what an interesting race we just had.
Interesting is definitely one word for it. From the issue there on the start with Bedurka and Long all the way through to all of these issues this evening. I say issues. It's drama, of course, on the racetrack. And, of course, I think we have to go back to the incident with Jay Robinson and Andrew Korostecki. And I'm glad it looks to pretty much vindicate Robinson because my first look at it, man, maybe I've been around too much oval racing lately, too much NASCAR, I don't know. But it really looked intentional, and I just want to give the, acknowledgement to Jay Robinson. I don't think it was. I think it was just bad spot, bad time, and he was trying to turn back away from Korostecki when the rest of that contact made happen. So I just wanted to touch back on that because initially I was pretty hard on the Robinson train, but 30 minutes, I should say, done and dusted in the amateur class. 21 laps total. JP, let's take a look at our unofficial race results this evening. Milan Harris, simply gone. Checked out, 7 seconds over John Kroom. Nearly 17 seconds back to Bjorn Stange, who, by the way, does win the driver of the day. Well, we stay until the end of the results, so not technically won it yet, but he is well ahead right now, Milan Harris, and I don't think he's going to be looking back with that one. Joe Nagy 4th, Ilya Speaker there in 5th, Chris Sanchez 6th, Kleber Tavares and Charles Jose nearly dead even across the stripe. Keith Wilfred there in 9th. A lot of positions gained by Keith tonight, and then Samuel Bernardi in the top 10.
11th place, you're going to have Joshua Lyon. Brian Robinson is going to finish in 12th place ahead of Kerry Corker in 13th. Clarence Rosa is going to finish in 14th place ahead of Philip Bedurka. Dean Kerr is going to finish in 16th ahead of Adam Ballard. Jay Davis and Don Gottlieb and Nick Polliard Andrew is going to finish in 20th place.
Finishing 21st this evening, how about car 11, Wendell Lira? Hung on, gained a lot of spots by attrition. Volker Krebs in 22nd. Joey Raymer, I know we kind of got on his grill a little bit too, but does finish 23rd, hangs on and beats out a lot of drivers tonight. That's going to be a lot of points for Joey, I think, to take into the next round at Rudskogen, hopefully put in some extra time and get a little more comfortable with the car. Believe me, I'll be honest. If I was in Joey's spot, I'd be just as uncomfortable. Just got to hopefully not get in the way of anybody. That's the hope for Rudskogen, certainly. Robert Guadagnoli there in 24th. Chip Witt, 25th, both 2 laps down. Gary Weaver took an early exit right at the back end of the race. Ends up 26th, ahead of Jay Robinson, Andrew Korostecki, Sean Patterson, Andy William Love, your top 30. A few more cars here. Rodrigo Arantes on down through Long, Shervick, McDonald, and Kelly. Those 2 at the bottom did not start this race. JP, Milan Harris goes to victory lane for the second week in a row. Let's trade things up. Let's go ahead and give you the race winner this evening, car 69.
So, Milan Harris, I mean, a lonely race for you at the front, but I'm pretty sure you will take it once again.
Yeah, that was a good, clean race. No hassle or anything. Just tried to keep, clean lines and stay on the track and get 0x and take advantage of that. So it was good. This track's my backyard. It's literally an hour away. I've been around it in a car. I've been around it many times in a cart. So I'm comfortable here. Definitely know the track a little bit, and I guess you could kind of see that a little bit. But shout out to the Rockefeller Racing team. For Joe with his 4th place finish, That's awesome. Congrats to him. I was looking over his telemetry going into this race a little bit. He's definitely starting to get the footwork figured out, and that's good to see. Speaks right behind him with the team on that. That's awesome. And then John behind me with the second place. I think that was a solid race for us. So.
Yeah, absolutely a great result. I was going to ask you, how were you so comfortable on this track, but you mentioned your backyard. So, I mean, next round in Norway is going to be very far away. How do you prepare for a round like that?
So it's going to be a lot of practice. I actually have 0 time on that track. Most of these tracks I've raced on. Barber's actually not too long ago, because during the off season I do the middle of the pack racing with Jason Landry, and had a little practice on this track with the GR86. But next week I have absolutely 0 practice on, so it's going to be time to buckle down and put some laps in and do some work.
Absolutely, but since you're leading the championship, does that make you go a little bit easy with a little bit less pressure, or do you tackle it just as the same?
Oh no, that's not my style. I'm full send it. I mean, I just like to push it. That's me. I'm aggressive.
Nice, that's what we like to hear. So Milan, well done on the race tonight. We're definitely going to keep our eyes on you on the next round at Norway in 2 weeks' time, and well, best of luck.
Hey, thank you very much. And another shout out to Giuliano with Morad Coaching. Another good session this week. We ran a couple hours together, and it was definitely a good time running some laps with him. It was good. Thanks, you guys.
Absolutely, Andrew. That was Milan Harris. Absolutely dominated the race today. And well, now he's gonna be dominating the tables after tonight's round as well.
Yeah, Stu checking in there as well. By the way, I want to mention Bjorn Stage does take driver of the day today in the amateur race. John Kroom is Milan's teammate. Ends up going P2. And John, this seems to be the formation that is ideal for you guys. At least 1-2 in that regard. Maybe not always Milan up top and you in second, but man, that guy is gone. What is it for Milan and you this season? You guys are both, I think, gapping the field week in, week out. 10 seconds behind you back to third. What is it for you guys?
Hey, you guys got me.
Oh, I thought I drug John in here. I'm sorry about that, but there we go. Now we have John Kroom here. I just framed a whole question to Milan asking what you guys both have. But anyways, John, I'll ask, what do you guys both have over there at Rockefeller Racing Gold? You guys are both week in, week out gapping the field.
We have put in tons and tons of practice. Hours. So yeah, and actually Milan had a lot of he grew up racing that track, so he had a lot of inside knowledge on areas where you could brake and get compression and these types of things that I didn't see when you first go around the track. So he really helped all of us on the team figure out how you should go through there, and because it's a tricky, super tricky track, and so I was happy to get second there for sure.
Well, it's a hot start for both of you. 1-2 again this week. How about Red Skogan? 2 weeks' time. You have an extra week to prepare and try to get a handle on that place. Brand new to the iRacing service, so nobody has a lot of laps. How do you prepare for it?
Yeah, we practiced maybe an hour on it, and it's going to be another really difficult track. So, yeah, it's a lot of elevation change. So, yeah, car's going to be floating, so it's going to be tough. Really, really tough.
Well, John, another good run for you and everybody over at Rockefeller Racing. Congratulations. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in a couple of weeks at Norway.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Andrew.
John Kroom, P2 to Milan Harris's teammate. I know the vote has changed a little bit and tied up with Milan Harris, but the vote has ended. So I'll go ahead and click that end poll button. Bjorn Stange, at the time of the us reading through all the results, that's when that vote ends. I just want to make sure that is clear. I would have voted for Milan Harris if I could have, but Bjorn Stange did have it at that point in time, so Bjorn is our driver of the day. JP, that was an interesting race. Interesting being the operative word, I guess. I'll be honest. I was thrown for a whirlwind the entire 30-minute round we just had.
Yeah, you're not the only one, me too. But yeah, I guess interesting is the correct word to put it, Andrew. Now, obviously, we have the next race, 50 minutes, at least one pit stop. Should be a bit more interesting in other aspects, but yeah, let's see how the pros and pro-ams tackle on this racetrack.
We've got more racing coming up, but before you go away, in case you just watch for the amateurs, how about some upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV? It's a lighter week coming up for us, a chance for us all to breathe a little bit, but we still have a lot of late model racing Monday and Tuesday evening, May 15th and May 16th. We go to New Smyrna and USA International Speedway between the iRacing Cars Late Model Stock Tour and D-Line Racing League. Those brought to you by Race EPI in terms of Monday night's broadcast and Elevated Performance on Tuesday. We'll talk more about all of these in a little bit. Make sure to follow us on social media for updates throughout the course of the evening, and we'll be right back in just a few moments with pro racing from Barber.
My name is Scott Reister. I'm the creator of North American Racing League, also a NARL Porsche Cup driver, broadcasted live by Pit Stop TV.
Hi, my name is John Sedlak, and I race for Firelight Esports in North American Racing League. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/diesel_dad.
Hello, I am Dino Filippa, sim racer from Argentina, current champion, and I will be competing in the championship for the ERS team and also providing the data for each race for the participant drivers.
Hey guys, I am Marco Saavedra, and I'm a NARL Porsche Cup driver representing Infinite Racing Services. I'm a race winner and multiple podium finisher on the last NARL GT3 season, so I'll be working to get even better results this championship on a different car. See you all on track.
Hi guys, I am Ricardo Rico from Spain. I drive with Zenith Esports, and I will be doing this Porsche Cup season in the North American Racing League. I hope you can catch with us on the Pit Stop TV broadcast, and we will try to give you a good show. See ya!
Hi, my name is Luboy. I'm full-time streamer, content creator, ambassador for Master and Excel Racing. And also, I'm North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hey guys, my name's Ryan Kerr. Looking forward to racing in NARL, broadcast by Pit Stop TV again this season. This time in the pro category after last season's good result. Racing again with Miranda's. Looking forward to seeing everybody out on track.
Hi, my name is David Schwartz. I'm 36 years old. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm representing the Miranda's M Squad. In real life, I'm the 2018 D Street Las Vegas region autocross champion, also an STCA time trial winner, and I've been sim racing for about 6 years.
Hi, I am Dalton Zavidal, driver for SimCity Racing and North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver. I am the 2021 Colorado Karting Tour iRacing Winter Series champion and the 2022 Season 1 Porsche Cup Pro-Am champion.
Olá, meu nome é Jackson Rezende, faço parte da Texaco Race by TK e sou piloto da North American Race League Porsche Cup.
Hey guys, Bruno Do Carmo here from Texaco Racing by TK, Pro World Championship license back in 2017, and now I'm a North American Racing League Porsche Cup driver.
Hello guys, my name is Gustavo Ariel, and I'm Texaco Racing by Tony Canan driver, and I'll be driving on the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Championship. Let's go.
One race down, one race to go this evening, but we've got the lion's share of racing laps left to go in this one. Pro and Pro-Am cars on track, and JP, I'll be honest, everything in that amateur race completely surprised me. Aside from the fact that Milan Harris went to victory lane, how much more surprising can we possibly get for the pros? I'm sure they're about to say, hold my beverage of choice, because I'd imagine they've got something up their sleeves here. Welcome back into the sim at Barber Motorsports Park. Good to have you. This is going to be an interesting one, a very, very interesting one, if it's anything like what we just saw for the amateurs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, having two classes, different drivers, different driving tactics, I guess you could say, just different driving styles. This is certainly going to be an exciting race. Last week at Imola was absolutely interesting. We had pros and pro-ams battling for the same piece of tarmac. It was awesome. And I kind of am hoping, Andrew, to see more of the same. We talked about the track on the previous round, but, it's just such a difficult racetrack full of elevation changes going up and down under braking zones. Mid-corner is just an awesome, awesome racetrack.
Matthias Jensen is the lap record holder here for the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, about 1 second ahead of our times in practice this evening. We'll see if qualifying maybe chips into that a little bit. Who knows? But let's take a look at standings quickly before we get to qualifying. Gustavo Ariel up top by 4 points over Dalton Zafadil, who just led our practice session. That is huge, with these point standings brought to you this evening and this season by Victorum. A big project from JS Consulting and John Sedlock. It's so cool to see this kind of take form. Really, really cool what's going on in Victorium, and now the new scoring software, if you will, scoring provider, I'd say, of the North American Racing League. Pull in and process results of any session, official, hosted, or league. Customize and automate metadata and bonus and penalty points using a unique JavaScript-based hook process and customizable season roster. A big shout out to everything John Sedlock is doing with Victorum. Let's take a look here at the pro standings. And JP, what stands out to you?
I guess Scar Reister, Marco Savendra, Fabio Zimperlini just separated by 1 point. But also having, 3 drivers in the top 10 from the pro class, that is awesome. Seeing how close they are and how everything could change in just one race. If we switch over to the Pro-Am, again, 3 drivers within 10 points. Luana Hod had an absolutely amazing race last week. He's definitely ready to do some more, but still, only 15 points separating the top 10, Andrew, on the Pro-Am. That's awesome.
Yeah, things very close on both sides, but a whole lot closer for the Pro-Am category. We're going to have a lot of changes between this week and Rudskogen in 2 weeks' time. In fact, let's take a look at the schedule briefly before we go qualifying with these guys, at least before we get down to qualifying, as it's already underway. Norway next up, Rudskogen Motor Center. That's going to be exciting, but we've got to get through Barber first this evening on May 11th. And you see cars on track. Gustavo Ariel, one of the first ones we have to talk about, JP, took that big win last week in Imola. I don't know that you can look at really any driver and think that he's got a better chance, or think that they've got a better chance to win than Gustavo. He is just so good in this car every circuit we go to. But Dalton Zafadil, who won at Detroit, did just lead the practice session. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And if things could change from one round to the other, as you mentioned, he was the world record holder at Imola. So, it's just, I guess, a natural track for him to be real quick. But, tonight everything could change. We can have another driver just like we just had on the amateur side. Milan Harris was born and raised just outside of the track, got plenty of laps. So, we could see a similar story around here. So I'm excited to see who's going to top out qualifying and obviously what the gap is going to be to their rivals.
By the way, a small thing that I'm sure very few people noticed is that we have not had the South America Club logo on the broadcast lately. That is an issue we are working on for other clubs. There was one I noticed, I think it was Australia, for Chris Sanchez, that did not come up as Fabio Zamperlini goes to the top of the board ahead of David Schwartz, Aubrey Kundal, and Dalton Zafadil. But I'm glad we've gotten it up here for some of these drivers out of Mexico and the rest of South America. I know Mexico would be separate It might be, though, displaying the South America Club logo. It's something we're working on. It's just weird how iRacing handles clubs sometimes. Regardless, it's something being worked on for all clubs on the service. And if it doesn't come up right, or if it doesn't show any logo, that might be why. Something that not many probably notice, but it is a finicky thing to me, and I really want to get absolutely right for all drivers in this series. So just keep watching that as everybody gets the laps here in qualifying conditions. And let's take a look at how these guys are breaking down so far. I'm surprised that Neto Nascimento is so far down, but at the same time, JP, these guys have certain strategies they employ in qualifying to sometimes go slower at first and a whole lot faster at the end of the session. There goes Marco Saavedra way up, a second up on Zamperlini.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's a strategy. Just go a little bit easy on your out lap and your first flying lap, a few seconds off the pace, and then just push like a madman on the second lap. And that's exactly what we just saw. You can see right here the number 52 of Stacy Bertrand, 2.3 seconds, Andrew, away from looks like the leader of Saavedra, but still in the top 10.
Wow.
Looks like just got beat, but Zavadil going even quicker.
That's
so
huge.
Yeah.
Dalton Zavadil.
Interesting qualifying so far.
Wow, look at Gramigna, third overall, a Pro-Am. Alex Jenkins, even faster. Only 3.5 tenths off of Dalton Zavadil. This is incredible. Scott Reister, fourth quick. I know we've still got some heavy hitters. We've still got Ariel, Del Carmo, and others. And, well, there goes Gustavo to the top of the board. But Scott Reister is still fifth. Alex Jenkins is still fourth. This is incredible right now in qualifying.
This is an awesome qualifying session so far, Andrew. The gap they are very, very tight. They're not as, I guess, as different as we saw in Imola. So this is going to be an exciting race if it finishes like this. But I feel like there's still time on the table, especially for drivers like Zavadil. I think Saavedra can also improve. Jenkins looks like he's just exiting the S's. Just the downhill, you can see right there, Resende did not set a lap time yet. Looks like he invalidated maybe his previous lap, so there's still quite a few drivers injured to set a lap time in.
Looks like a brand new driver here. Must be a new pro competitor for Texaco Racing by TK, Sebastian Weldon. I've never seen this name. His nickname isn't set, but he does have pro stickers on that car. This is a new one to me, and I wasn't notified of this edition either. Very interesting as Dalton Zavadil goes to the top of the board, his final lap out. But here come a slew of other times. Gustavo Ariel is on lap 3. Marcos Saavedra, Ricardo Rico, all very quick, and filling the top 5 is Martin Gramigna. Will go 5th in qualifying so far and close his qualifying effort. Here's Gustavo onto, I believe, the front stretch. Any better there for car 12? No.
Yes, it is, but not enough to beat.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, just less than a tenth of a second. So he improved by over a tenth, but still a tenth away from Zavadil. And you can see right here, Ricardo Rico currently in third place. Looks like he's going to be finishing up his lap. And it's just something different that I noticed about Weldon. I wasn't aware that he joined the race either, but his livery looked a lot more metallic than the matte.
Yeah, the spec map is off. It's got some weird decal differences with it. It's the spec map there on the 26 car. Not sure what's going on. Not sure why he's even in the session, I'll be honest. A new driver to us, hopefully adding to the mix for sure. Here's Ricardo Rico across the line, and he will stay third position. No, up to second. It just took a while to update. Just ahead of Gustavo Ariel by 37/1000ths of a second. Bruno De Carmo goes 10th, spinning through turns 1 and 2. Thomas Rayleigh is faster. Neto Nascimento is faster. We've got our entire Pro-Am top 3, I think, ahead of them. Yeah, Gramigna, Jenkins, and Rayleigh, all faster than Neto Nascimento and Bruno De Carmo and Fabio Zamperlini. That is a huge, huge surprise.
Yeah, this is a huge qualifying session, Andrew. Really, really surprising. Yeah, this is shaping up to be a very, very exciting race, isn't it? As it looks like Philippa is finishing up his final lap. He's going to cross the line. 3-second improvement. He's going to have a huge jump as well to 4th place. So yeah, interesting. As it looks like Resende is still yet to finish a lap time, so things could still change right here.
Turn 12, now turn 13 for Jackson Resende. He's got one more lap after this if iRacing allows him to complete it. I don't think he's going to have enough time, but it's going to be close as Resende comes through turns 15, now 16, to wrap up his qualifying effort into the start-finish line. What can he make of it in car 96 to the line right here? It's going to be much faster than a 130, a 124.158. That is... well, first of all, invalid and surprisingly far down the order. A 124.0 would have been 14th quick.
So it looks like it's not so far Resende's track. As you mentioned,
He's got just enough time for this lap, though, if he goes.
Yeah, but it's still, now he's going to be under huge pressure injury. He cannot invalidate. He has to set at least a decent lap time. So this is kind of the worst case scenario you want for your final lap. So all eyes are on the number 96. What can he do as he approaches essentially the middle point of the racetrack?
Nice line there through turn 9, back on power. Seems like it was trying to step out ever so slightly, and let's see what Jackson Resende can do then. As he works through the left-right flick of turns 10 and 11. Down quick to turn 12. Looks tidy so far, popping the curb, using the full racetrack. I like it. It's decently aggressive, but is it going to hold up? It looks like these Texaco Racing guys have gone a little more conservative with the downforce maybe, and held themselves back a little bit in a straight line to just try and get stability out of the car, compared to Dalton Zavadil, Ricardo Rico, and some others. But to the line here with Sendy, can he go any faster than a 124.0? Yes, it's a 123.6, and that puts him 9th.
So good lap inside the top 10 just at the timer as the timer finishes. So delivered under pressure and a good starting position for him. Interesting to see what he might be able to do as the race progresses.
Let's take a look at our starting order for round 3 of the North American Racing League Porsche Cup season number 3. This is going to be interesting. The pros and pro-ams on track. Dalton Zavadil, I think that just still needs to be changed, but Dalton Zavadil will start from first after winning Detroit round 1. Ricardo Rico will start from second. Gustavo Ariel will start from the 3rd spot. Dino Filippa will start from 4th. Of course, those two have a history from Detroit a couple of races ago. That'll be an interesting battle on the first lap. Marco Saavedra from 5th. Martin Gramigna from 6th. That is your Pro-Am pole sitter ahead of Scott Reister, and second in Pro-Am, Alex Jenkins chiming in 8th position on our grid. How about Jackson Resende and another Pro-Am driver, Thomas Rayleigh? 3 of them in a line inside the top 10 for the start.
In 11th place, we're going to have Neto Nascimento, the number 75, the number 69 of Bruno Do Carmo lining up in 12th place. 13th place, you're going to have Fabio Zamperlini and David Schwartz in 14th place alongside him. 15th place, we're going to have Alec Bergstrom, the number 166, and the number 25 of Luan Hot in 16th place. 17th place, we're going to have Miguel Colon, the number 87, and the number 52 of Stacy Bertrand in 18th place. Finally, row number 10, we're going to have Robert Pendergast in the number 123, and Love 46 in the number 46 in 20th place.
7 more cars in the field. They are Zachary Diaz, Aubrey Kundle, Dan Willis in 23rd, Scott Angelo in 24th, Adam Hartzell, Sebastian Weldon, and finally, Armando Bejeron. Your full spread of drivers this evening, all 27 of them. And this is going to be interesting for sure. You see us waiting on the green. Do we really have any expectations? I mean, it's a 50-minute race. As we get ready to take the green flag, lights are out, waiting on the flagman to drop the green flag, and we are green from Barber. A little bit of contact further back, 4 wide. Sebastian Weldon in the middle of it in the 26 car. We're stacking it up, though, up front. Calamity through turn 2. The pro field decimated.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. And you can see how many cars were involved right there as we have a battle for the lead right here. These two are going to go at it on the exit of turn number 5. It looks like they're going to go side by side throughout the straightaway. It looks like Gustavo just backed off a little bit, and it looks like they might maintain position. But we know how aggressive, they can be on the early stages of the race. And it looks like for the time being, track position is more important than fuel saving early on in the race.
Well, a lot of cars in trouble lap 1. We're going to wait for this lap to go through. As usual, Gustavo hustling it over the curbs. That was crazy. Through turn 10 and 11 the first time out. This is going to be a fun race. Everything is back up in the air. We have no clue what's going to happen as we watch most of the field get taken out. Lap 1, still no clue what happened. Marcos Saavedra is slow. This is outside of turn 10. Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting one for sure as Dalton Zavadil exits the 16th corner and lap 1 will go complete at Barber.
Just like that, one lap done, and you can see right there, Andrew, the top 2 pro. Then Martin Gramigna, the first Pro-Am driver in 3rd place, less than 2 seconds away from the leaders. An excellent start for him. You can see then Scott Reiser, Neto Nascimento, and Bruno Do Carmo, a tight field. And I mean, as you mentioned, you know, quite a bit of the field was taken out on that lap 1 instant, but still, I feel like we're going to have an interesting race for both classes.
A couple of cars into the pit lane, Thomas Rayleigh one of them, as our round 1 winner and Pro-Am points leader is heavily damaged, along with Ricardo Rico and Adam Hartzell into the pit lane. A lot of trouble. The opening lap, Dan Willis now in trouble. This is in turn 5. Whoa, rejoins right behind his teammate Scott Angelo. That was close. Let's go back and take a look, shall we, at what just transpired on lap 1. There was some of the mess, and these guys waiting on the start. Lawrence Zavadil on the throttle, waiting on the countdown here. And let's just watch the 51 of Ricardo Rico as this race got underway.
You can see right there, he takes the outside line through turn 1, goes way wide, and
no.
At that point, Andrew, there's absolutely no grip whatsoever. And you can see the cascade effect, how many drivers were involved in that. Just really unfortunate to see.
As unfortunate as that is, JP, and as big of an effect as that's going to have as, that caught Hartzell at the last moment, drivers backing up, trying to get back going, it's somewhat refreshing to see that a pro, one of the pros, just made a complete mistake, human error, ran wide, an honest mistake at the start of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. It just proves how, they can still make mistakes, and you can see right there, squeezed a little bit wide, and you're not quite sure that was a car's width, but still, it just ran a bit wide. It kind of reminds me in a way of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg in 2016. Obviously, they only took themselves out, but just similar, no grip, and unfortunately, was a passenger at that point trying to stop the car.
Now there was trouble for Weldon in the back. This is up to turn 1. 4 wide there, just that was 4 guys going into turn 1 side by side. I don't think anybody was really too much at fault then. I think Weldon maybe kind of forced his way back on track a little bit, just trying to get some spots there on the opening lap, especially after what we saw there in turn 1. It's a tough position for anybody to be in, as Hartzell really got ping-ponged around there on that opening lap. Regardless, we'll go back out to the front under live conditions. Lawrence Zavadil opening a bit of a gap now over Gustavo Ariel, a half second in purple there on lap number 3. Leading in Pro-Am after all of that is currently 3rd place, Martin Gramigna.
Yeah, really good race for him, Andrew, so far. First 5 minutes doing his job. He's losing contact with Gustavo Ariel, but obviously, a Pro-Am, we're not going to expect him to battle directly with the overall race leader, but still holding his own against Scott Reiser and Neto Nascimento. I think Bruno Do Carmo dropped place. I think he was in 6th place a few minutes ago, but still, a really good start from him and a really good pace so far as he can keep those 2 pros behind him and, in a safe, I guess, gap, you can say.
A look there at your Pro-Am leader. There are some battles across the racetrack. In fact, here is Love 46 and David Schwartz for the 12th position. And Resende just had a moment. Spinning around is Dan Willis. A lot happening across the entire field. Again, this is going to be one crazy race as the afternoon unfolds. It already is for these drivers. A crazy one for sure for, I think, everybody in the field. Just after that lap 1 melee, we saw a lot of cars taken out. That wasn't quite Road America levels last GT3 season, but it was darn close.
That I think that's just the peak, Andrew, of crashes essentially. But today was very unfortunate. Took quite a few cars. I'm not quite sure how many were there, but I think it was more than more than 5, I'd say. Maybe
I'd say
close
at
to
least 10, close to a dozen involved, even by just a little bump there on that opening lap. Probably even a few more, as Fabio Zamperlini is just ahead here of Bruno De Carmo. These guys fighting for 8th, 9th, and 10th. 8th is Miguel Colon. That is a Pro-Am car in the 87. 9th and 10th, of course, pro drivers, along with Dino Filippa back here. And, of course, Dino had that big mistake, we'll say, round 1, but the Infinite Racing Service number 1 is right back to form this season. Quality racing last week at Imola. A little behind the mark today, but of course I think that's from everything that just happened on lap 1. He started 4th, qualified 4th, so clearly has got speed here today, just trying to battle through this field, and it is oh so difficult. This is a very much stacked road course field.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just so difficult to find the edge right here. You kind of rely on other people's mistake and aggression to try and get an opportunity to pass. Just like that, Andrew, this could be a door opening for him to get one position. You can see he's going to go to the inside. Can he get that move
That was
done?
bold.
That was bold, and you can see just being forced to the outside, still side by side those two, but now he has to yield, and look how much time they dropped, Andrew, from that battle. But that's just how the opportunities will come. A small mistake and you have to take your opportunities. Unfortunately, it did not work out for him, but you can see the aggression and the will to get back up the field is still very much there. And there he goes.
Bruno off track. It all works out for Dino to get the 10th position away from Bruno De Carmo, as a rare slip up after out of car to 69 changes positions there. A little further back, love 46, David Schwartz still in holding formation. Luan Hott, last week's Pro-Am winner, mired back in 14th currently. A rough one going for Luan so far, ahead of Aubrey Kundal. I mean, we could pick out storyline after storyline as we have a good fight here. Bergstrom and Jenkins. Bergstrom, I feel like, is completely brand new here. I don't know anything about Alec Bergstrom aside from he races for M Squad, so he must be pretty darn good, and is so far as he goes toe-to-toe with Alex Jenkins for 2nd and 3rd in Pro-Am, and we've got one heck of a Pro-Am battle as well. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all on a line here. Jenkins, Bergstrom, and Cologne.
Yeah, absolutely. Jenkins is not in the top 10 of the Pro-Am standings, but Bergstrom is just 2 points ahead of Cologne, Andrew, so this could be a direct battle to see who finishes ahead, not only in the race, but obviously in the championship as well. As looks like Scott Reister had some issues, and not only him, but Neto Nascimento as well. So those two came together, were having a really good race, really good collective race for Scott Reister, but ended up all going, well, away from him.
Scott Reister here up out of turn 9, down the backstretch, if you will. And what happens here down to turn 12? Neto takes a look. I mentioned in the amateur race, there's one place I would not pass, and it's right there. Scott, though, just got in deep. That's a really weird spot to get past. And, how do you go too wide into turn 12? I'm not so sure. We learned right there it's not that way. As Scott, again, that's a rare place to get past. That's difficult. Just got in a little deep, got the grass into braking, and my goodness, what a hit.
Oh. Yeah, that was a massive hit. And if Neto was half a second ahead, Andrew, that wouldn't have made contact with him whatsoever. Just completely, at the wrong place at the wrong time. You could see right there, Scott tried to essentially let him by, but unfortunately ended up turning a bit too late, carrying too much speed, and, as you mentioned, just touching the grass and having the car out of control for him. So, unfortunately, those two knocked out of the battle for essentially a podium, and that allows Andrew Remigna, Jenkins, and at one point it was Bergstrom and Cologne, just a complete, essentially Pro-Am top 3 to 6. Now Dino Filippa just pretty much in the middle of a Pro-Am sandwich, but it's a really good Pro-Am battle, this one.
It is, and while these guys are battling in, I have to change focus a moment to the 12th place driver. Sebastian Weldon, and we have been lucky. We have been lucky enough at Pit Stop TV over the course of a few years now to get some really high-profile drivers on the channel. One of them being Tony Kanaan, for example, in the North American Racing League, and has been a big part of this league ever since, always fielding a massive team, now known as Texaco Racing by TK. Now even has his own eNASCAR team in the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series, with some fantastic drivers in the number 11 and number 66. What I did not expect, what I did not have on my 2023 NARL or even Pit Stop TV bingo card, was to have Sebastian Weldon in the field. And I thought the name stuck out from the get-go. This is Sebastian Weldon, the Sebastian Weldon, Andretti development driver in the field. This one kind of blows me away. And at first, it just, again, I saw the name. I was like, that stood out to begin with. You don't see many Weldons in racing. But also, to be this late of an addition, and Scott Reister kind of slipped that one. He was probably trying to test me, see if I was expecting that kind of thing. Definitely was not. But it's very cool to have Sebastian in the field. Got aggressive on lap 1. I think is learning quickly the high caliber of this series. But I got to be honest, JP. From 26th on the grid, challenging here, love 46, straight on by in turn 16. The speed out of this kid is unreal. That was a beautiful pass in turn 16. Obviously has some great teammates around him over at Texaco Racing by TK. The speed here from driver 26, unbelievable.
Yeah, made a few mistakes early on in the race, but as you mentioned, just getting up to grips, I guess, to the racing league, and just how quickly, as soon as we switched focus up to him, making a beautiful move. I'm expecting to see the number 26 finishing maybe inside the top 8. I'm going to guess he can even finish higher as the driver is just ahead of him. You can see right there making contact and puff of smokes coming up in the air. So this is all essentially helping everybody that's behind that battle, Sebastian Weldon being one of them. So now we just got to wait and see. And you're obviously, balancing that pace with aggression. It's a fine balance.
Whoa.
One car goes really wide.
And it's Sebastian.
Unfortunate. That's what we mentioned, right? Balancing aggression with your pace, sometimes it goes the wrong way.
We were just talking about Sebastian at length. Following this battle down to turn 7, Miguel Colon and Alec Bergstrom, they all checked up, and really there was just nowhere for Sebastian to go. That wasn't a great look at it, but we'll get another one. Down into turn 7, turn 8, turn 9, somewhere I'm sure Sebastian has some laps at here at Barber. I just don't think he was quite expecting that. Here's the onboard. As he towed straight to the pit lane, came in flying, and these guys were all dropping anchor to try and fight, and there goes Sebastian through the gravel. That's a tough one.
Yeah, really unfortunate, and unfortunately he parks the car as well. So, yeah, hopefully we can see more of him, Andrew. 2 weeks now for the next round. Definitely excited to see what the 26th, if he's obviously going to be in the grid, what he can do as well, if he can be on pace with the top guys. Looks like Scott Reister now back on the pit lane. And is this the first time he came back on the pit lane after the contact? I don't think he did. So just taking the fast repair and now filling up the car for the remainder of the race. Maybe the number 42 could still salvage a good result here today.
I think he's trying to make this his fuel stop. It's very early, though. 36 minutes to go. I think he's trying to split the race and work it in reverse. It might work out for Scott. This is a big brain move for Scott Reister if it works out. I know he's still going to have a lot of damage, still going to be way back, but that is, in fact, his first trip down the pit lane. So he's trying to compensate for the issue there early on in this one with Neto Nascimento. Meanwhile, how about David Schwartz and Fabio Zamperlini side by side again in turn 12? Like, that's a crazy spot to do it, but it works out that time.
Yeah, we saw what happened a few laps ago, Andrew, but those two, they make it work. And they're going to stick position for the time being. It's a really close battle right here. This ranges from what I think is 8th all the way down to 11th.
Yeah, from David Schwartz down through Fabio Zamperlini, Miguel Colon, Love 46. 4 cars in a line right here, and not far back from Alec Bergstrom either. Of course, this was the line that Sebastian Weldon was following when he made his mistake behind them. I want to go up front for a moment. And, of course, we haven't talked much about these guys since probably minute 5 or so. 10 or so minutes later, still in a holding pattern for Dalton Zavriel and Gustavo Ariel, separated by just about a half second with 35 minutes to go. Where is this pace all of a sudden coming from driver 24? I mean, he's been good in previous seasons, but this is shocking from Dalton Zavriel. That, I guess, boost to the ego at Detroit has really made a difference.
And this is so far an excellent race as well, Andrew. Lawrence, obviously, you can see right there, started first, currently first, highest first, lowest first, and all 10 laps led, all 11 laps led now. So a really good pace from the number 24, keeping Gustavo at his bay. And, I mean, it's just great. If he can nail his fuel stop, Andrew, and keep the track position, it's going to be the most important thing he needs to do to make sure he gets another hand in that winner's trophy. But still, 34 minutes to go. It's a long race, so easy to make a mistake, but still, it's looking very, very good for Lawrence Savadil at this time.
Yeah, Dean Kerr mentioning for sure Sebastian was cursed by us, and it surely looks that way at this point in time. Pit stop out of Jackson Rosende here. Oh my goodness, look at the damage to the nose of that car. It has been a rough one for so many drivers today. This is going to be one of the famous rounds that I think Scott Reister gets in the Discord afterwards and says, nope, never again. Despite being, again, a really compelling track for these cars to race at. It's just been really, really challenging and difficult on the field in a couple of spots.
Yeah, exactly. So Resende, I mean, had that. I think it was him, right, that saved qualifying just at the edge and unfortunately had a bad race. So just kind of following the footsteps of Scott Reiser, but you can see Andrew, 4 seconds longer the pit stop. Now the question is, who kind of got it right? Maybe Scott got it right and Resende overfueled a little bit. Maybe Scott really underfueled the car and now has 4 seconds less of fuel. And I think is that him just ahead of the leaders? No, it isn't.
No, that is Adam Hartzell in the 81 car.
Yeah, just the back end, just a little bit on the same color scheme. But yeah, unfortunately for those two, the race really took a turn for the worse. But still, 32 minutes, long time to kind of salvage something.
Cars out of this race currently: Sebastian Weldon, Neto Nascimento, and Marco Saavedra. Saavedra's been out for 12 laps since the drop of the green, more or less. Neto Nascimento made it until that crash with Scott Reister, and Sebastian Weldon left after a moment in turns 7, 8, and 9 when he went off course behind a big-time Pro-Am battle. And to go and recap the Pro-Am category right now, Martin Grimigna is your race leader. This is shocking pace out of the 23. I say shocking. These Pro-Am guys, again, we act surprised every single time, but how surprised really are we, JP, that we keep seeing more and more Pro-Am guys in the top 5, top 10 especially. Now we've got 2 of them in the top 5, 1 of them in the top 3. Unless something big happens, I think Martin is a really solid pick for podium overall. That said, Dino is closing, but he's still got 7 seconds to go.
Honestly, I can say, in my opinion, shocking is the correct word, because it wouldn't be shocking if it was the same driver over and over again, having a stellar race. It's just obviously, not obviously, but every single round is just a different Pro-Am driver having, the spotlight. Thomas Rayleigh won round number 1. Luan Hod had a really good round number 2. Now Martin Grimigna is having a really good round 3. So it's all balanced to see, which Pro-Am has essentially, the perfect race. And it's so interesting to see. It's always a different names. Obviously, we can mention as well the number 9 that's just on your screen, Alex Jenkins. You can see Alec Bergstrom as well. They're all having fantastic results by being in the overall top 10. Cologne as well in the top 10. But it's just so interesting to see, Andrew, how strong the Pro-Am field really is and how much they can actually battle with the pro drivers.
I think what makes it less shocking for me is the frequency with which we've seen big incidents in the pro class this season. This car is really bringing out, and maybe this is the appeal to this car. I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of it behind the wheel myself. It's so challenging to drive. I think that's just part of it. But this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car really is a fantastic platform for racing, as we've seen. I had the amazing privilege of covering a Porsche Esports Canada series race very recently at Sebring a few weeks back, and they really showed, I think, peak Porsche Cup racing in that race alone. It wasn't necessarily the series that did it, wasn't necessarily that track, I think, really brought out the best of this car. I'm glad we have it for the finale here in the North American Racing League. We're going to see some peak Porsche Cup racing there again, I think. But it really brings out mistakes in pro drivers, and in an age where Formula One reliability is the best it's ever been, and certainly is always getting better. NASCAR reliability is the best it's ever been, and certainly is getting better. We're seeing real cars last for full races without braking, as I have to brake. This is a 3-wide moment. Zamperlini through the middle. Wow. The 4, oh no, he's straight through in turn 5. Oh no. Oh, Fabio.
That was brave, but unfortunately did not work out. It was just way too ambitious.
Oh no. I mentioned it earlier. It's so easy to dive down into turn 5 and overdrive the corner. We see it there. I was also going to mention Bergstrom was the top M Squad driver until that moment, as David Schwartz has used that moment to go on by Alec Bergstrom, and now Bergstrom has to deal with the full wrath of Miguel Colon, who is a multi-time winner multi-time Pro-Am race winner here in the North American Racing League, as you see Zavadil go purple. But my point is that racing cars in general are the most reliable they've ever been. Drivers, I think, are the most polished they've ever been. You don't see many mistakes in NASCAR races anymore. You don't see many just random crashes. You don't see many random crashes even in Formula One these days. Maybe a few more in the last few years compared to the years prior, but compared to the average over the course of the sport's history, it's down, right? Drivers are safer, cars are more reliable. This car, though, brings out all of those mistakes that we're looking for in Pro Series, I feel like. Whether it's just going off track a little bit. We saw even Ricardo Rico on the start, JP, just a little bit wide as the track fell away from him, and he just couldn't hang on to it. There was so little front-end grip, he just couldn't hang on to it, went out into the grass, came back through, collected, 10, 12 cars. We've seen it throughout the course of the race. Scott Reiser made that mistake in turn 12 just by being passed. Mistake after mistake after mistake. That's the story of this season so far, and this car is bringing it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Andrew, when the grid is such, it's so tight, the times are so close together, you obviously try to end up pushing a little bit more, and that's sometimes just a little bit more brings out the mistakes, just pushing a little bit more. As you mentioned, we saw Ricardo Rico just pushing a little bit too much down into turn 1 on the outside lane, ended up leading to a mistake. And that's just, we just saw Fabio Zamperlini just braking maybe a little bit too early on turn number 5, ended up going really wide. So, it's just that beauty, trying to edge up your opponent, trying to push sometimes that little bit extra, sometimes that forces a mistake, and, that just allows sometimes for fantastic racing.
On board with Miguel Colon, position 9, chasing Bergstrom for 3rd in class. Again, this is the weirdest spread of Pro, and I think this is the most diverse we've ever seen. The Pro and Pro-Am, I guess the most mixed up we've ever seen these two classes in the North American Racing League. We've got an even split in the top 10, actually, 5 and 5. In the next 10, it's again 5 and 5. An even split in the whole top 20. In fact, we've got 13 and 13 in the field, now noticing that, to make 26. But it's so mixed around. This is crazy. Unprecedented for sure.
This is absolutely amazing, and it's just really interesting because, we have battles, as we're used to, overall positions, but, we're not really used to seeing, overall positions being battled by the same class so high up, especially when we're talking about Pro-Am. There are battles that will decide, the points ending after this race, since they're so close together, and it's just creating a whole new level of excitement as well if you're following the points tally. But yeah, it's just really, really interesting as well, Andrew. Now we're back to, I think we're following Fabio Zamperlini, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Trying to pass Aubrey Kundal, and so yeah, battle for 11th position.
And this is very close as they head down to turn 1. Still very close now for turn 2. This is for 11th on the racetrack. Aubrey is right behind Luan Hot, well, a second and a half back of Luan Hot, who is 5th in class. So Aubrey Kundal, running 11th overall, is 6th in Pro-Am competition. Fabio Zamperlini, 12th, would also then be 6th in Pro-Am competition. These are the two 6th place drivers in class battling for 11th on the racetrack. What a crazy season that Scott Reister has concocted for us with the North American Racing League Porsche Cup Series. This is beautiful stuff. I never, ever would have expected this, and I'm so glad we've captured this fire in a bottle this season, because it's going to take us, I think, a moment to really grasp what's happening each race, because there's just so much. But this is really, really cool that we've got this kind of parity, this kind of mistake-making car. Most of the mistakes this evening have been by pro drivers. The Pro-Am guys, I think even this season, it's fair to say, JP, this season, most of the mistakes have been pro drivers. A lot of the pro-ams have been keeping their noses clean, keeping their heads down, and taking the positions they can get by attrition. And that speaks volumes, as we have just under half the race to go. We've just got on by halfway. 18 laps out of 36 expected, now complete. Here at Barber Motorsports Park, JB, that means we're past halfway. Do you know what that means?
Driver of the day votes.
That's right. One each from the two classes on the racetrack. Do you want to go first? Usually I throw you under the bus. I'll give you a mulligan if you choose.
I mean, I can take... I'm going to take the boring choices because they're just the boring choices. They're the easy choices, but they're still, impressive choices, I guess you can say. Zapadil, not easy, creating a 2-second gap to Gustavo Ariel, who last week we saw, I think it was over 10 seconds that he finished ahead of second place. So it's definitely not easy to put this kind of performance, break away from someone that was so close to you a few laps ago. So impressive performance from the number 24. And the number 23, third place overall, keeping his pace, keeping his distance from Dino Filippa. It's just an impressive drive, for Martin Gremigna. A really, really mature drive so far. No mistakes, just keeping it consistent. Really, really impressive.
There's a look at Martin Gremigna in car 23. So you took the two leaders in class. I certainly can't blame you. I'm going to dig a little bit. I'm going to have to grab... By the way, Fabio Zampolini makes a pit stop. I'm going to have to grab out of the pro category... I'm thinking. Sorry, this is new for me. I'm having to think real quick. I think I'm going to get both of the M Squad drivers in the top 10. David Schwartz in 7th is up from 14th spot, so that is 8 spots total considering he has been as low as 15th position. And then Alec Bergstrom right behind him. I know he's kind of trended down a little bit, but he's got the exact same amount of positions made up in this race. From 15th up to 8th, was as high as 5th at one point. I know he's had a moment or two that's kind of brought him back down, but as far as drivers that are excelling, and I think deserve that driver of the day acknowledgement right now, these two both at M Squad are really impressing. And Schwartz has a Pro-Am win, I believe. It was an Am win a few years back, or a year or so back, I guess now, at VIR and GT3 cars here in the North American Racing League. But really impressive to see Schwartz and Bergstrom really rising to this occasion. Really impressed by both M Squad drivers in 7th and 8th on the racetrack right now. It's standing out to me for sure as Pendergrast is out in the grass, and a nod as well to Robert Pendergrast, who went 2nd at Detroit to his teammate Thomas Rayleigh. And while it's not been a great return to the racetrack, missed last week at Imola, is back here today at Barber, and was putting together a pretty clean run until that moment.
Yeah, and I feel like he carried quite a bit of damage to, just darting straight to the pit to get that fixed, get fuel in the car to make sure he finishes it. So yeah, really unfortunate for the number 123, but luckily for him, Andrew, happened on the back end part of the course, so not too long till the pit lane, and he's gonna get that fixed real quick and get some fuel out of the way. I was trying to follow, I'm not quite sure who it was down in the pit lane, but I was trying to follow to see, what's the gap, essentially the time that you lose down in pit lane, but I think it's well over 25 seconds. Just to see where Zavadil and Gustavo are going to come out. I think love 46, so 31 seconds. That's kind of the gap, but still, Andrew, if Zavadil pit now, he's going to rejoin in what, 6th place? Yeah, just behind Jenkins.
That sounds about right. Now, there is like an extra second or two on top of just that pit lane time, so maybe it'll be more like 7th or 8th, another second or two back. But that's pretty darn right for the Delta as you're on board with Fabio Zampolini right behind 11:46. You see the pit stop time again, about 8 seconds. Same for Scott Reister. That's not the same, though. It is the same for Robert Pendergrast, not the same for Jackson Resende, so I wonder what the difference was here for Jackson as he took a 12-second pit stop. I know he had some trouble getting into the box, I believe, but that's a really big difference for a Texaco Racing by TK driver to have. Usually those guys are on top of it, so something was wrong there for Jackson Resende for sure on his pit stop a little bit ago. Now Zavadil, I think, could safely pit at any time. He's going to be in traffic no matter what, unless he somehow outlasts the field. He's got 3 seconds now to Gustavo as well, who must be trying to compensate and save fuel. He has really, really given some time up lately.
Yeah, he was half a second throughout the first part of the race, Andrew. Definitely fuel saving while he was at that gap, and obviously now just losing touch. Zavadil definitely pushing and trying to save a little bit as well, I'd say. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, if the time that Gustavo spent less than a second away from Zavadil saving that fuel is going to be enough to offset this difference of 3.5 seconds. It's going to take some gambling from Gustavo to jump, but I'm pretty sure Zavadil is just going to do the same, just gamble a little bit of fuel, take a little bit less just to make sure he has track position.
Oh, Miguel Colon way out into Neverland. That is not where you want to be in turn 14. He's going to come straight into the pit lane, and he's got some damage, it looks like. Let's go back and check what just happened to last week's... it wasn't last week's Pro-Am winner, but he's won plenty of Pro-Am races in the past. Here's the problem for Miguel Colon. That is turns 10 and 11, rather. So we're a little far back to get the exact issue, but it's going to happen real quick for the driver out of New England. I believe went second last week. We spoke to him in the post-race interviews, and yeah, that is way out there.
Yeah, he just went wide on the exit. You can see right there he's hitting the arm curb area, but he just went wide. I'm pretty sure it was on 13. Just as soon as, the car goes a little bit light, it's just so easy to go wide. And you can see right here, he looks like he's going to be on tarmac, and then just 2 wheels, they dip. He avoids the first arm curb, but unfortunately just getting way too much speed. Hits the second one. Luckily for him as well, Andrew, the pit entry is just right there. As Zavadil now sets another fast lap of the race. So really pushing it. And from our experience, Andrew, when a driver starts pushing and setting fast lap of the race, that means he's a few laps away from pitting.
Yeah, and this is really, really impressive again out of Laurent Zavadil. I'm glad you took the gimme and made sure to take him for Driver of the Day nominations because, he's currently leading, rightfully so. The SimCity Racing driver out front has just been lights out from the drop of the green, even from practice. From the time the session opened and he joined, it's been a very impressive run for Car 24. Has led every single lap, started from pole, led practice, and is gone over Gustavo Ariel lately. 4 seconds up over the 12 car who won last week and has the world record in this car at Imola. This is oh so impressive, and I see out in the chat, I've seen it for a little while, I've just been trying to figure out how I was going to segue into it. Eric Newman mentioned that he has been putting in work, certainly here at Barber specifically, ran an IVRA endurance race here a few weeks ago that really helped him get ready as he works around 15 and 16 one more time. 16 minutes to go and a little bit of change. That means about 12 laps left.
So yeah, just on the edge of pretty much pitting for fuel. We're going to see drivers darting in at any second now, and then obviously it's just going to be a sprint to the finish. So yeah, I'm really anxious. I'm not quite sure if it's an expression in English, Andrew, but in Portuguese we can say a little bit of dance of the chairs. Things are going to move around, and I'm excited for it.
I think we'd say musical chairs. We're probably, we're going to play musical chairs. I think would be the equivalent there, as Zachary Deus works back up onto the racetrack. A big mention, by the way, to our season partners this time around for the North American Racing League, as Stacey Bertrand's going to pit. The other car in that picture, Ricardo Rico, who had the issue on lap 1. But there's a look at car 52. But a big mention to our partners this season, Infinite Racing Services, Moradness M Squad, Victorum, the new scoring partner, and Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, all fantastic additions and longtime partners in some cases here for the North American Racing League. Really, the only new one technically is Infinite Racing Services, as Victorum is just an evolution of the deal with JS Consulting and John Sedlak and everything he does, who's not in the field this evening. Not really sure why, but we are certainly missing the Firelight number 211 on track this evening. So, John, if you're out there listening, I'm sure you will be at some point. We do miss you this evening. Hopefully you're back next week, I guess next race at Redskogen, as we take a look at Laurent Zavadil out front. By now, you want to know what the gap is, JP?
4 seconds?
5 seconds.
Wow. that is just insane.
I think Gustavo must be dialing it back. He's been running some 123.4s as Dalton gets faster and faster. this is a very, very impressive day for car 24. I think shocking most of the field because we knew he was good. I mean, he was third, I believe, to take advantage of what even happened at Detroit. Like, he had to be in that position to begin with. It's not like you just inherit a race win by being 20th. You've got to be in a position to take advantage of that moment for the race leaders. When it happens, he did so, put himself in that spot, took advantage of Detroit, took the race win, closed it out. And we're seeing clearly that he has got this Porsche Cup car figured out this season, at least to be a factor, and he's going to come on and pit. Oh, no! Wow! That could have been it right there.
That definitely got his heart jumping, and yours as well, Andrew, as it was really close between the number 24. You can see there Gustavo Ariel as well popping into the pit lane, and you can see that number 24 did not want to lose a single tenth of a second to the number 12, and almost, as you mentioned, bended on the tire barrier. But now it's going to be a battle, Andrew. Who's going to come out ahead? Lawrence had a 5-second lead. That's going to be difficult for Gustavo to lead, and yeah, that's just going to make things a little bit more difficult. But meanwhile, Andrew, a Pro-Am is leading the race.
Briefly, yeah, Martin Gramigna inheriting the race lead right now as you see Gustavo Ariel. Everything he gained from Lawrence's mistake, Dalton's mistake into the pit lane, he lost as, Gustavo joins right with Bruno De Carmo. That got hairy, and team orders took over as Bruno gave that up to his faster teammate, Gustavo. Glad they sorted that out. As Alex Jenkins also is in the pit lane, a very notable driver lately in the Pro-Am class, 8.75 seconds in the box. And Alex is another one of those guys that has come out of nowhere, JP. We didn't know the guy until he unloaded at Detroit a couple of weeks ago, and has been simply sensational in the Pro-Am class. I believe running second when he came into the pit lane and turned it over to Bergstrom and Kundal now on our podium positions. Miguel Colon has pit recently, of course. We're just waiting on a few more pit stops from the Pro-Am class. Most notably, of course, our race leader, Martin Gramigna, but also waiting on Bergstrom and Kundal in the lane, and then I think everybody will come in aside from Dan Willis. As here we go. Gramigna's in, Felipe's in. I think we'll see everybody pit this lap.
And you can see right there pushing it to the limit as well. As you can see right behind him, Dino Filippa not pushing as hard as Bruno De Carmo now. Is going to come into the pit lane. You can see right there a lot of damage to the back bumper of the car. Andrew is going to happily get that fixed. David Schwartz as well, the number 100, hopping into the pit. His teammate Bergstrom as well. As you can see now, it's going to be a battle between the number 23 and the number 1 to see who's going to finish overall on the podium. Gramigna 8.98 comes out ahead of Dino Filippa 8.45, so half a second quicker. Bruno De Carmo, the number 69, fixes his bumper, and he's going to be on his way with pretty much a 9-second stop. Meanwhile, the teammates as well, Andrew, one behind the other.
Yeah, Schwartz currently ahead of Bergstrom. A moment there for Schwartz getting out of the box, but they both pull away. Aubrey Kundal in the lane. And that about sorts it for cars in pit lane. Dan Willis yet to pit still. I'm sure he'll come in this time by. Ricardo Rico, though, might need to pit. He's going to have to, right? He pitted 26 laps ago, I think, just trying to let this car run out of fuel so he can get some fast lap times, at least try to go for that fastest lap. It does not provide a point, but look at this fight. Fabio Zamperlini, Aubrey Kundal, Scott Reister throw them all under a blanket, and they're warm and happy and fighting for 6 different positions. From Love 46 in 11th, back through Jackson Ozende in 16th, all in one line here. This is chaotic.
Oh, this is chaotic fun, and you can see right there a move already being made on turn number 5. I think that was Miguel Colon getting past. No, yeah, I think it was just getting past. So yeah, you can see moves already being made, and I don't think that's going to be the last one we see on this small group. You can see 3 cars ahead, a small gap, 3 cars behind. This is about to get really fun as Scott Reiser got a really good run. Unfortunately, he's going to have to let off the gas just a tiny little bit as they head into this quick chicane. But you can see right there, as we just had position swap, Filippa got past Gramigna.
That he did. I'd love to go back and look at it, but these guys are just too close as Ricardo Rico comes into the pit lane now. Scott Reister is all over Fabio Zamperlini, which is completely unexpected to me. The fact that a former GT3 champion here in the series is being caught up by Scott, I think that shows just how much Scott has grown as a driver in recent years. Fabio's still a fantastic driver. I think everybody else caught up real quick. And Scott Reister has done the same as David Schwartz has a problem. Car 100 is back in the pit lane. Was it a penalty or was it a lack of fuel? I don't know. He's waiting a while here.
Was it a tow? No, it wasn't. 15 seconds. That was a stop and go.
It may have been. That's weird. I didn't realize stop and goes came in the size of 15 seconds in the box, but a problem there is Love 46 goes wide in turn 5 and gives up lots of time, and here comes Jackson Resende to try and take advantage in the 15th spot now. Wow. This day keeps getting weirder and weirder.
It sure does. As you
Here
can
we
see
go.
right here now, a really good run for Resende. He's going to try to get past Love 46. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, but maybe on exit, as the Love 46 is going to have a compromised line. You can see how much the car was jumping around, but looks like well, the positions will hold for the time being. Meanwhile, ahead, Scar Reiser lining up for a beautiful move. Looks like he might just have to wait a little bit, Andrew, but things are moving up so quickly on this field. This is getting very, very exciting.
Scott Reister still all over Fabio Zamperlini. The best string of battles certainly on the racetrack right now. Positions 10 through now 15. 6 cars in a line, all racing to try and be the final car in the top 10. Fabio Zamperlini currently has that spot, as Love 46 has a look there from Resende, who goes way deep. A 4-wheel slide there to turn 1. Glad he hung on to it. Now Reister again going to have a shot at Fabio Zamperlini down to turn 5.
Can he try to outbrake Fabio heading into turn number 5? I think he's just too far away, maybe trying to force him into a mistake. Not quite yet, Andrew, but you can see right there how the gap closes. Now Scott Reiser is going to have to defend maybe as they head into the chicane. You can see right there how Cologne is very, very close to him, Andrew. Pretty much, you know, no gap whatsoever, less than a tenth. And you can see right there now it extends a little bit as Cologne now closes in a little bit, not using that curb on the inside to get the car turned in, now allowing Scott Reiser to extend the gap. So it's just pretty much a chess game. Reiser looks like he's fastest on the third sector, on this final sector, but it looks like he's losing a little bit on the middle sector. So he's just losing it again, he's losing it again, and he has to balance that one out if he wants a shot at that 10th place.
By the way, Lauren Zavadil is currently leading the Driver of the Day vote. Do not forget to chime in and make your opinion heard here as far as who gets the Driver of the Day. Extra $20, the bonus for winning that award. It's Lauren Zavadil, Martin Grabigna, David Schwartz, and Alex Bergstrom up for the vote. And right now, Zavadil leading by 20% over Alex Bergstrom, who has it by 7% over Schwartz. Only one of them can win, even between Pro and Pro-Am. So get your vote in now before it's too late. Luann Hott working on Alec Bergstrom, by the way. That is for 3rd, it looks like, in Pro-Am. 7th on the racetrack overall. Bergstrom hanging on as his M Squad teammate of David Schwartz had to leave him behind and go pit. Ricardo Rico, worth mentioning, had that pit stop he still had to make. He made an extra stop after the lap 1 crash. Ricardo was in the top 10. He only spent 7 seconds in the box, but he put enough time on everybody else that he was able to still hang on. He had to pit early and got back out ahead of these guys. Really impressive day from Ricardo.
Yeah, absolutely. But unfortunately, I think, yeah, we talked about this. Only a 3-second stop. He's going to have to come in for essentially a splash and dash.
Oh, he already has. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. So never mind. So I just completely missed that. As
Scott
once again goes
No. Scott Reister put together a beautiful move there on Fabio Zamperlini, got on by, and now Fabio has to deal with Miguel Colon all over again as now Aubrey Kundal pulls up to the 87 car. Love 46 has recently fallen off of these guys as well and now goes by Scott Reister. So a lot just happened right there in the background. And trouble certainly for the 42 of Reister. He falls now down to 15th position. Commentator curse is certainly alive and well here at Barber.
On point, isn't it, Andrew? Yeah, but I mean, we just kind of have to stick with this battle and talk about these drivers. So hopefully it doesn't strike one of them once again. And you mentioned Zamperlini was able to clear Reister from his mistake, and you can see right there, I think that's Resende just going down the inside. They're going to make contact, not quite. Resende gets that move done on Aubrey Kundal and moves himself up to 12th place. And Aubrey, unfortunately, falls to last place on this group of cars that was once a 6-car group. Now it's down to 4, and that's just how quickly things can change out here in Barber. But yeah, this battle is still very much alive for the top 10, Andrew. I cannot take my pick who's going to finish in 10th place.
It's hard to say as Rosende drives away from Kundal and sets his sights now on Miguel Colon and Fabio Zamperlini. All while we are within 5 minutes of the checkered flag here at Barber Motorsports Park. There's a look at your race leader deep into turns 7, 8, and 9. And we are on lap 33 of an expected 36, and it's looking close to actually going the full distance. Sometimes these guys pit and it just takes a lap off. It's that close, but this might still go for the 36th and final lap here today. Regardless, of course, we're working on the timer, so we'll see exactly how it works out. Dino Filippa, though, of course, he got by Martin Grabigna a few laps back, right out of the pit lane, and now Martin, I think, is about stabilizing, might even be able to come back at him.
And they're both catching Gustavo, Andrew. The gap is less than 4 seconds, just about 4 seconds to Gustavo. So Gustavo really struggling with something. And I mean, 3 minutes to go, only only 3 or 4 laps to go. But still, if it's tires, if they're essentially just dropping off, they could catch him up quite quickly. You can see it now, it's down to 3 seconds.
On board with Gustavo, let's see if we can diagnose what's going on for car 12. A little bit late on the downshift. I wonder if he burned up too much fuel. I mean, he might have underfueled as well. He looks like he's struggling with the front tires.
I feel like maybe he just ran out of grip on those tires, and you can see 15 seconds to Lawrence. Obviously,
clutching.
Pace from number 24, saving quite a bit of fuel as well. So maybe it's just a combination of both, running out of tires and running out of fuel. The gap now really decreasing into the second place, could be in jeopardy for the number 12.
And what's big about this as well, particularly in a Porsche, and this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, is, of course, the fuel tank is over the nose. In most cars, it's over the rear. That'd be a front engine car. But in this, being a mid-engine car, the fuel tank's over the nose, so as you have less and less fuel in the car, you have less and less bite from the nose, less turn-in, because there's less weight up there. So if he's been underfueled the entire time, that could actually, wow, it pops the curb big time. That could be part of why he's been struggling by pace, not just because he's holding himself back to try and save, but also there's less turn-in, and it seems like he's really having to turn those front wheels to get them to bite. And I'm sure has roasted them a little bit more than he would have liked because there's less weight. So it's a compounding issue for sure as he gives up more and more time, hemorrhaging it at this point as we have 2 laps to go here at Barber.
Yeah, I feel like that's a combination of both, Andrew, but I feel like he's really just running out of fuel at this point. You mentioned it, right? We could go the distance. Normally it's 1 lap shorter, and that could be making the difference to Gustavo. It looks like he might be the only driver struggling. So, we're used to seeing the number 12 gambling on fuel, getting that extra position. This time could completely backfire on him as he not only loses second place, but you can see right there, Grabigna now dropping a little bit off. If maybe he was a little bit more on pace, Andrew, he could snatch that third, but Dino Filippa certainly has eyes on the prize.
100%. And this is a rare rough round for Texaco Racing by TK. They have in the class of the field in this North American Racing League for seasons on seasons, and we might be seeing a change of the guard a little bit. That or just a couple of weaknesses, a couple of off weeks. Something is up with them as a whole. Bruno De Carmo's down in 5th. Usually it would be Gustavo and Bruno out front, Rosende not far back. Even Rosende, he's down in 12th position. I know there was the crash at the start that swept up the 96, but Zavriel into the 122s, right back matching his practice pace as we take the white flag here at Barber Motorsports Park. White flag in the air, presented by Whiplash Simcams. This has been a crazy round that I don't think anybody could have predicted as Miguel Colon has got trouble. A bit slow there through turns 7, 8, and 9. Gave up spots to Fabio Zamperlini and Jackson Rosende, it looks like, and falls down to the 12th position overall. Next up behind him is Aubrey Kundal. So as far as Pro-Am goes, of course, Grabigna's still leading. Then it's Alex Jenkins and Alec Bergstrom. And here we go, JP. Finally a challenge from Dino on Gustavo.
As one car will stop on the exit of turn number 5.
Thomas Rayleigh.
Thomas Rayleigh. So the championship leader in the Pro-Am also having troubles, Andrew. But yeah, Dino Filippa now within a real shot of snatching that second place from Gustavo. Gustavo obviously running on fumes, so he has to really be careful right here if he wants to battle, or if he just allows this to, allows Dino to have the position. Jackson Resende was within a shot of getting that 10th place, but you can see him and Aubrey Kondo were going to run out of fuel, so just decided to pit to take it easy. Meanwhile, you can see right here, bumping. You can see just how much more pace Filippa has. He's trying to find a way past Gustavo, as looks like Zavadil is running off the final corner.
Oh, contact!
Contact, but Filippa gets second place. Zavadil is going to win the race, 22nd clear of these guys. And Filippa on the second to last corner, Andrew, gets the move done. And you can see right there, Ariel running out of fuel. Gramigna is going to run very close, getting that third place, but fourth place overall for him. First place in his class. What a drive.
Unbelievable. There was so much happening. We couldn't even get back to Lauren Zavadil crossing the start-finish line, winning his second North American Racing League race in Pro this season, and second in 3 weeks, as now Alex Bergstrom is hanging on over Luan Hott. This is for the third position in class. Ricardo Rico got by him, but Luan Hott will not. Down into turn number 1. Luan has to settle for fourth. Here comes Fabio Zamperlini to the line. A couple of great battles to round this race out. Resende over David Schwartz, and Love 46 spins in turn 12. It all comes unwinding for so many drivers right there at the end. Scott Reister, well, you know how he was back in 15th, 16th after his last mistake? He crosses the line in 12th after those last late race pit stops. I'm jumbled for words, JP. What a stunning round. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this has been absolutely fantastic, Andrew. Just so much fun, so much happening on this round. It's just being crazy, and this guy right here deserves all the burnouts and donuts he can possibly do, and obviously have. I'm pretty sure he's not going to deny a donut after tonight's race, but the number 24, Andrew, what a race from him. Well over, nearly actually 20 seconds clear of second place. It's been a drive, and he's well deserved this victory.
Unbelievable race win here from Dalton Zavadil. Unbelievable race in general. Let's go over our unofficial race results this evening at Barber Motorsports Park. Up front, Dalton Zavadil, whatever you want to call him, Zavadil, out front with a big-time race win, led every single lap, never looked back, and we have a new class out front because this is huge. And by the way, hang on. JP, do you see that? Do you see Gustavo on incident penalty?
Oh, wow, yeah. On the second to last lap, I think he may have gone wide, but I don't know. 55 seconds, so yeah.
It was the 4X, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, true.
The contact with Dino Filippa. Oh, my goodness. That is huge. That drops Gustavo Ariel back down to the 9th position. Wow, I'm a little bit shocked, taken aback by that, but through your top 10, we've got Dalton Zavadil winning, Dino in second, Martin Gramigna ends up podium. Overall, third place with Bruno DeClarmo there in fourth. Alex Jenkins will take a top 5. Ricardo Rico in sixth. Alec Bergstrom, Luan Hott, 7th and 8th by just mere inches, as Gustavo Ariel takes an incident penalty on the final lap, drops to 9th position over Fabio Zamperlini.
11th place goes to Miguel Colon. Scott Reister manages to salvage a 12th place. Really good result for him. Stacey Bertrand is going to finish in 13th place ahead of David Schwartz. Aubrey Kondo in 15th place. Love 46 in 16th place. Jackson Resende all the way down in 17th, Andrew. The last driver to finish on the lead lap ahead of Robert Pendergast and Zachary Deuce and Thomas Rayleigh in 20th place.
Finishing 21st, Scott Angelo in car 68. Under the radar. Really solid drive from him to just stay out of trouble, and I think was involved in those early crashes. So, hey, stays in the race at least. I think 50 minutes about in any position at Barber is an impressive drive. Dan Willis goes 22nd. Adam Hartzell out of the race early, 23rd. Sebastian Weldon there, 24th position, early exit for himself. And Neto Nascimento, same deal for Marco Saavedra. Armando Bejaran never did take the green. I'm a little bit shocked, for sure. I have never. In some cases, this is one of the most difficult rounds I think we've ever had to cover, just because everything was surprising. None of this went right, I think, for a driver perspective, but certainly one of our more surprising rounds, and I really don't know what to say. I'm a little bit speechless, but let's bring in drivers who I'm sure have a lot to talk about, as Lauren Zavadil is your pro driver of the day and the overall race winner. Dalton, another big win for you. Can you believe it?
I put in a lot of work this week, and I'd been doing full stints all weekend, managing tire wear and recognizing this track destroys the front left tire. So I knew from the get-go, hey, you just got to take it easy on that front left. You got to, take some lines that might not necessarily be as advantageous, but in the long run, it's gonna make you go a lot faster. So I was really happy with the work that we put in. I knew in practice, I did a full stint and ended with 40% tire wear, so I knew I was going to be able to run the full race without a problem, and I was really happy with the result, obviously.
36 laps led, that's every single lap, and a big difference from what happened in round one, where of course, circumstances that be, you kind of inherited the race lead. You weren't maybe the best driver over the course of 40 minutes, but you were the best driver over the course of 50 minutes. Today, you were the best driver every single minute. What has changed between rounds 1 and 3 with you in the car? Is it just getting back up to speed with this Porsche Cup car? What's going on?
This track and I really mesh really well. It's a really flowing track and very technical. And when it comes to these tracks, I tend to just be very, very smooth, and I keep my momentum up, with the best of them. So this track really just jives really well with me, and that was really my ultimate advantage there. That, and I put in a ton of work this week. So first off, I really got to thank SimCity Racing. I got to thank all our sponsors: Monster Energy, Oakley, Air Jordan, Star Nursery, Abruzzi Racewear, Maconi Setup Shop. All those guys, they make this team possible, and we put in the effort to put a good product out there and help these guys and show them our name. We're meaning business, and we're meant to be racing with the top tier guys.
Clearly meant to be racing with the top tier guys. You guys have impressed over the course of this last calendar year. I recall about a year ago, you guys showing up to that 24-hour race at Watkins Glen and absolutely blowing everybody out of the water, at least for our expectations for SimCity Racing. So it has been a really cool year to watch SimCity grow and take over in some cases. 2 race wins. You're the winningest driver, at least for now. And you might carry that for a little while. It's rare to see somebody get 2 wins in the North American Racing League and not go on to win a championship, or at least not contend for a championship. Big things on the way, certainly for you. You got to get used to being a star, it seems like, of the NARL. Best of luck to you. What does that mean, I guess, for this season as well? You still got 5 rounds to go, and right now you're the hot commodity.
This means a lot. I mean, first off, with this result, it appears that I should take back the championship lead, barring anything crazy. But just to be on top and have SimCity Racing's name on top is just like, it's the best for us. We really want to be, mixing it up with the best guys in the business. Gustavo's no joke. He's literally top 3 in the world in iRating. So I cannot fault the guy. He is absurdly fast, and it's going to take a lot of work to stay at the top, but we're going to keep working hard, and we're going to do the absolute best that we can and just be consistent. And that's so far this year what we've done.
Well, congratulations once again. We're going to be seeing a lot more of you, as you are today's driver of the day, today's race winner, today's dominator, if you will, setting the pace certainly here at Barber. We'll see you in a couple of weeks in Norway.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Dalton Zavadil, an impressive day at the office here in the North American Racing League. I haven't seen many runs like that, that's for sure. Really impressive stuff today out of Lawrence Dalton, whatever it may be, as he technically takes a race win today by 20 seconds nearly over Dino Filippa, and not even technically, straight up over Dino for second place. Finishing a little further down the order, but still towards the front in Pro-Am, and it looks like third in Pro-Am is Alec Bergstrom. We don't usually get third place drivers, but Alec, nobody else from your class chiming in this evening by interview. A stellar run from you and your teammate David Schwartz. Unfortunately, something happened to him. You were left alone by your M Squad teammate, but you hung on to the top 10. First of all, you were in the top 10. Third in Pro-Am, you were there all day. What happened on lap 1 to put you in that top 10?
Oh, man, it was carnage. Lot going on. A lot of it was luck. Definitely felt like luck went my way this week, because week 1 I was kind of on the receiving end of it a little bit, but works out, and I was happy getting away safely right there at the start.
And you simply maintained over the course of the race. I mentioned in this broadcast, it feels like the pro guys have made the lion's share of the mistakes. What is the mindset for a Pro-Am driver then? Are you guys just trying to stay back and stay safe and play the attrition game? Because it sure looks like it.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. You hit the nail right in the head right there. Just easing off at the start. It's been a lot of carnage these first couple races, so I'm really just giving a lot of space to the guys in front of me. But I've been lucky to avoid a couple collisions as well, so luck's gone my way too.
Well, today was certainly a funky round, we'll say, at Barber. So how do you prepare for Rundskogen in a couple of weeks? A week off, an extra week to get ready for it, but it's a brand new track on iRacing, still only a couple of seasons old, and not many people have many laps there at all in any car, let alone the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car.
Exactly. I've done one race there before in the GT4s, but never in the P Cup, so that's going to be exciting to learn. Definitely going to need Stu's help this week. Going to be leaning on him a lot, or for the next week, yeah.
Well, Alec, I can't wait to see how you can do in a couple of weeks in Norway. Best of luck to you there, and hopefully you're back in the top 10 overall from this Pro-Am class.
Thank you.
Alec Bergstrom, a mega run today for M Squad. Let's move on down the line to Martin Grimigna, who actually wins this evening in Pro-Am. Martin, stellar run, P3 when it's all said and done. But let's start right from the beginning. What happened on lap 1 from your perspective?
Hi, Andrew and Emerson.
How you doing, Martin? Can you work with English?
Yes, a little English, but no it's good. I little.
That's okay. Do your best. Yes. What happened on lap 1?
Very, very difficult race. It's crashed all people's complication. I'm very happy to win this race, and it's possibly win next.
And you've been fantastic these first couple of rounds. How do you feel for the whole season? It looks like you're going to be racing for a championship possibly in this Pro-Am class. You're certainly fast.
Yes, I am very complication to championship. Last race crashed and it's very complication win. It's very important this point for championship. I am complicate the result, last result, but always happy for this race.
Well, Martin, it's a class win for you today. How do you feel for Rundskogen in 2 weeks?
Oof, very difficult. It's way to next race. Thank you for all. Very happy. Thanks for my coachings, and see you next race.
Well, Martin, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your time. Best of luck next week.
Thank you.
Martin Grimigna, thanks for chiming in. It sounds like a little bit of a language barrier, so Martin, when you go back, seriously, thanks for joining us. We'll work with that as we can over the course of the season if you join us after some more of these broadcasts. And by the way, for any international drivers that might have a better time understanding than speaking English, by all means, if you come in for an interview and you can at least tell what I'm asking you or JP is asking you, we have to respond in a different language, that is totally fine. I just want that out there. No problem. Just we're just happy to have you for an interview. Talk to your fans. Your fans, of course, are likely going to understand whether it's Spanish or Portuguese. Unfortunately, I'm not fluent enough in either one to ask any questions in those languages. So we just appreciate the time here at Pit Stop TV and talking to you drivers after the end of these races. But unbelievable round here at Barber today. I think entirely unprecedented. JP unfortunately had to leave, so I'm talking to myself a little bit here, but entirely unprecedented in so many ways, which only leaves me wondering more and more questions about Rudskogen in 2 weeks' time, May 25th, when we go there for round 4. Even more is up in the air than we already thought. It's going to be a crazy, crazy fourth round for this series. And we have fewer drivers in the Porsche Cup Series than we did last season in the GT3 Series. And it seems like it's only getting more and more compelling, more and more crazy, and more interesting as these races go by. With the schedule in mind, let's take a look at our upcoming broadcast here at Pit Stop TV. You saw that we had that week break coming up for the North American Racing League. That means it's a lighter week next week. So these are our 3 broadcasts next week as a whole. The iRacing Cars Late Model Stock Tour presented by RaceEPI.com, powered by the shop at New Smyrna Speedway. Going to be a lot of fun on Monday evening. 50 laps the distance, I do believe. 8:15 Eastern. You definitely want to be there. It's going to be a lot of great racing. Open setup, no cautions. It's going to be fun for sure on Monday night. Tuesday evening, we go to USA International Speedway in the virtual Lakeland, Florida for round 2 of the D-Line Racing League, brought to you by Elevated Performance as they get their league up off the ground and rolling with a big-time running start last week at South Boston. A lot of fun there. Really enjoyed that damage healing. Yes, damage healing enabled. So realistically, no damage in that race. It's a lot of fun. Join us on Tuesday evening for that at 9 Eastern. And then Sunday, we go to Long Beach, kind of a preview of some of what we might see in the bonus race here for the North American Racing League. Long Beach, May 21st for the Sim Pit Radical Series. That's going to be a lot of fun. From Long Beach, again, Long Beach, how about that for Radicals? That's going to be exciting for sure. Make sure to follow along with Pit Stop TV on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Kick. We would certainly appreciate follows, subscriptions, likes, whatever it may be on all of those platforms. It would mean a lot to us here at Pit Stop TV. But that will do it for us this evening. Another big thank you, of course, to our partners with the series. On your screen now, Infinite Racing Services, Maradness, Victorum, and Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. And a big nod to those who make it happen for us at Pit Stop TV. On your screen, now in audio by infraction, ATVO, Whiplash Media, SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I have JP Costa and Emerson Arden with me this evening. Thank you so much for watching here at Pit Stop TV. We will see you next time, hopefully Monday evening, for late models at New Smyrna.